Mic check, mic check. All right, good morning, Bender. Happy Sunday. Bender hears us, and that is all that's important right now. How you doing today, my brother? How's everyone out there this lovely Sunday morning? Sunday. Boop. How you doing, everybody? Welcome. My name is Mr. Marauder. We're here playing a little Subnautica. We're doing Subnautica from start to finish, from the original to zero. We are, I don't know, I forgot to look, a little over, probably close to 30 hours into this gameplay, or this playthrough. And, don't really remember where I left. I do know that we're close to being done, being towards the end of it. We got a nice little base happening here, so let me get my bearings about me and try to figure out what we did, because it's been, I believe the last time I streamed this was 2 weeks ago. So I haven't played since then. And, you know, when you got that kind of gap in a game, especially one like Subnautica, it's like, what was I doing? What was the next steps? That's right, so we were upgrading the prawn suit and the Cyclops. We were trying to get it all fully upgraded. I still have a couple upgrades here. Okay, good. So we got the upgrades, we just didn't install them. Excellent. It is a little warm in here. I may have to take this sweater off. Cyclops Mark II, Cyclops Mark III, Prawn Mark II. Okay, so yeah. So we got everything we need. I believe we've made it to a point where we can get everything. We have access to all of the materials that we need. So at this point, it's just a matter of survival, right?
Welcome
and getting there.
Captain.
All right, so let's take Marshmallow on down over here. Oh, I forgot I was building this. Yeah, what do I need for this? Let's go ahead and start working towards the end game now. Yeah, we're practically there. We are like, I don't know, handful of steps away, maybe a couple of hours. If I really focused, I could probably get it all done in the next, if not this session, then by the next session. Not that that's necessarily something I'm trying to do. I'm not really trying to speedrun, you know, I don't know about speedrun it, but not necessarily trying to get to the end of it, but we're there. And, you know, with the way that I work, I think it's about time to get that started. So I know we need aerogel, we need a plasteel ingot. And I believe that's where I left off. So let me see, we got titanium here. Oop, no, we only need one. And I believe it's lithium. Uh-oh. There we go. Didn't need to. Yep, to make a plasteel ingot. Shaboom. Life would be a dream, shaboom, if I can take you down to paradise up above. Shaboom, my darling, I'm the only one that you love. Life would be a dream, sweetheart. Hello again. Shaboom, no, I love you. That was actually a really hard song for me to learn how to sing. It took me. I was like, what's up? What's with all the shabooms and the shebangs and the shebings? I need aerogel, which is a ruby, and a gel sack. I keep hitting escape, and escape doesn't let me get out of the menu. Now I know I have both ruby and gel sack. Okay, there we go. There's a sack of gel. I know I got a ruby somewhere. Somewhere around here, there's Ruby. There we go. Scooly dooks. Bink, bank, bonk. Up. Alright, let's head back up. There's my Streamlabs, but I don't... I set it up. I don't even know what I'm doing with this shit, man. I think I need to hire someone to be like, how do you set up a stream? Like, all these bots and all that. I'm so lost. These things freak me out every time. So we need 2 aerogel and nickel ore. We need 3 nickel ore. That's probably the one thing I don't have right now. And a wiring kit, which we all know how complicated a wiring kit can get. So another aerogel, wiring kit. I'm sorry, no. Advanced wiring kit. You know what? Instead of guessing, how about I just make this a grocery list, huh? Let's go. Open this up. Oh wait, I can't. Damn it, I can't add it to the list. Okay. So normal wiring kit, not an advanced wiring kit. But I need another aerogel and 3 nickel. Wiring kit, aerogel, 3 nickel. If I don't have any nickel sitting on me, then it might take a little while to get down there to grab some. I may have used it all, pretty sure. Yeah, it looks like no nickel for me, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to go find it. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna need one of those for a wiring kit. Ain't it? No, wiring kit's silver. What am I talking about? It's not copper. Where's my silver? And then we need another aerogel, which... I have 2 nickel on. I need 1 more nickel. Alright, so we're just gonna have to go and do a nickel run. Make that aerogel. And... did we make that wiring kit already? Is it 2 wiring kits? Or 2 silver? It is 2 silver for a wiring kit. We had exactly 2 silver. That works. Silver and gold, and silver and gold. Ba 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 ba. Da 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 da. Alright, so let's just put these things. Plasteel, aerogel. Every time, man. And you know what the funny thing is, too, is that when I'm in the fabricator, I can't push tab to get out. I have to push exit or escape. So I'm like, of course I'm going to get confused. I'm just a nub is all. Where's my nickel? Didn't I just find that I had a couple nickels sitting around? Or am I losing it? What's going on, Pi? Welcome, welcome. Good morning. Now, I could have swore that I just saw 2 nickel laying around. I'm going crazy. There they are. I'm just blind. Nickel, nickel. Alright. Let's go grab... Actually, you know what? We're just gonna go get the fruit. We're gonna do the melon thing. Oh, bulbo tree, my fault. It's a bulbo tree. Bulbo. Good enough. Let's head on out. We're doing all this for 1 more nickel. Wah, wah. At least we know where to go. That's the good news. The unfortunate news is that it's going to be a trip. On the road again. Oh, I just can't wait to be on the road again. Something, 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 I don't remember. But I'm going on the road again. Kind of wild, man. I took about a month off of work. Actually, what I did was I told them that I need an extended leave of absence so I can work on myself and my mental health. And then I took that month. But the mistake that I made was I didn't take the full month off. I still kept whatever work that I had already. And I was like, I'm just going to do that. So that actually took a lot longer for the recovery to happen, but had a couple full weeks off. And the last couple days, I finally started feeling better. I'm feeling good now. LOL, right from the tree is the best kind of bulboa. Bulboa. Yeah, exactly. It's fresh, that low-hanging fruit, nice and ripe. Who doesn't want to pull a fruit straight from the vine, right? Best way to eat it. Excuse me. Can you dock me, please? Oh, no, I guess you can't. You have no power. You have no power. Glad I'm doing better. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that. I am too, man. I can be honest and say I don't really know what happened. I mean, I do.
Warning. Emergency power only. Oxygen.
But the important part is that things are looking up now. Things are looking better. Starting to get to
systems. Welcome aboard, Captain.
Where life is looking good. But, you know, these are the kind of cycles that people who suffer from depression go through, right? Although this one was a long one, man. I was like, so usually when I go through these things, it's like a few days at most. This one was bad. I was like, what is happening here? But, you know, that's just whenever that kind of stuff happens, it's our body, it's our spirit telling us that something's misaligned, you know? And that you really need a change. And, well, that's what I did. Wasn't easy. Definitely wasn't easy, but I'm feeling better now. Both Bender and Pi say that they're glad I'm feeling better. I appreciate that, man. It's work. It's funny how healing takes work, right? Okay. Okay, you know what? Let me get out of this. Where do I even want to go? It's not Sulphur Lake. There we go. Sulphur Lake, Jelly Ray, that's where we're gonna go. Pilot the sub. What's our power looking like? 66%. I don't really like that. Okay. You know what? We're gonna go. We'll be able to make it. Famous last words. Alright. You know, I really don't like driving with the lights on. I feel it's kind of blinding. Yeah, I appreciate you fellas. You know, that's kind of what life's about, right? We go through our growth phases and like really it's impossible to feel good about yourself when you're not living congruently, right? When you're not doing the things that you know you should be doing. It is very dark out here. There we go. Huh. Bloodlight's actually doing something this time. But anywho, enough about me and my struggles, my life. We're here to do some Subnautica, some sub. Ooh! Ow! 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 I'm sorry, Clyde. All right, hang on. Look, it's been a little while, okay? Ah! I'm gonna get fired again. Beating up the sub. Are we moving? Why are we drifting? I messed up. Got myself good and stuck here. Okay. I'm trying to navigate these narrow corridors. Yep. I know. I'm beating this thing to hell. Oh man, how did I do this? Okay, hold on. We got this, y'all. I swear this isn't my first time. How in the hell did I do this? I've never gotten stuck like this. I guess I'm usually a lot more careful. Today I'm like, whatever, I'm just driving. I don't feel like being so patient today. But that's ultimately gonna hurt me. Okay, hang on. Let's reset myself here. Figure out where the hell I am. Pi says, good thing it's a rental, lol. Nah, it's hard as heck to drive through that thing on a good day. Fun, but hard. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thankfully it's a rental. I'm gonna be leaving it behind whenever I go home, but good load. I didn't pay that extra insurance either. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one having these issues, but it's funny, I'm normally a lot more careful with it. Where in the hell am I at? I don't even know where I am. No, warper. Whatever, if I get too stuck, I'll just hop out and take Ponderosa. Whatever, Clyde, you'll be alright. I'm just trying to figure out, like, where the hell it was. Usually I follow that one trench and it takes me right where I gotta be. But right now it looks like I got myself stuck in some kind of a canyon or chasm or something. Alright, we're not gonna mess with this too much more. We're gonna leave Clyde here. Go with Ponderosa the rest of the way. Power down. Pi says, I feel that in the early days of Subnautica, the Cyclops would get hull ruptures from slide. Oh, no. Oh, that would be rough. I'm glad they changed that. Especially because it's like, how are you going to give us this vehicle? This big submarine, and basically, like, there's not really many places you can take it, right? Or at least, ooh, that's gold, I don't need gold. Or at the very least, it's like, to advance, right? The way that the game advances you, it's like by the time you get the Cyclops, it's very difficult to take it to the places where you're advancing. I'll be honest, as much as I love the Cyclops, I really don't see the point of it. I love it. I use it because I think it's great. But I'm like, is this maybe for like temporary base or something? But you know, when it's that difficult to bring down here towards the end game, mid to end game, and that's when you have access to it. I don't know. Minor complaint. Minor first world problems. Pi says, yeah, the big reason why the Cyclops wasn't in below zero was no one used it because it was such a hassle. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Like I said, I love it. I think it's a cool vehicle. I love submarines and all that, but yeah, it's like it's not very effective, right? Doesn't really do much. But that's interesting. I didn't know it wasn't in Below Zero. I actually don't know anything about Below Zero except that it takes place. I don't even know if it's a different planet. I know it's like a sub-zero environment. That's really all I know about it. I played like 5 minutes just to see like if it was running and stuff. And I did notice that the main character is voice acted, which I actually wasn't a fan of. I was like, you know, I kind of liked that it was a silent protagonist in this one. So I just hope in that playthrough that it doesn't get annoying. Right. Okay, that's right. This one's a big old spiral down there. Takes us a little while. We can do the Spider-Man hook. There we go. Hello. Hello. Cool little cave system up there. Lithium. I'll take a little bit of lithium. Lithium's a little harder to find. The Pie says, yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the story in Below Zero, in no small part to the talking character. Yeah, I was like, honestly, like, I think I heard her say 1 or 2 things, and I was already like, she's gonna be annoying. Not annoying from what I remember, just sort of wanted them to shut up. Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, maybe annoying's not the word, but I don't know, when games do unnecessary talking, like for example, when I played Days Gone, I actually enjoyed the gameplay and stuff like that, but I could not continue because I couldn't stand the main character and the way he talked, and I was like, this guy is irritating. And what was weird was that it seemed like he had 2 personalities, the main character, because he would talk to people in this world, and he would be, I mean, just kind of a normal, you know, protagonist, this kind of tough guy surviving a zombie situation. But then when he's by himself and he's like stocking up on people or whatever, he starts like mumbling to himself and saying all this crazy shit. And I'm like, what is this? And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to add the upgrades to both Ponderosa and Clyde. Boop. There we go. 1,700 meters. Where do we go that's 1,700 meters? I don't remember going that far. Titanium. Yeah. Screw you, buddy. You're lucky my prawn suit can't punch. But yeah, man, a voiced character can definitely make or break a game. And it's kind of a weird shift, right? It's kind of a jarring shift when it's like, you played, I don't know, 30, 40 hours of the original Subnautica, the character didn't say anything. And then you get into this new game and all of a sudden the character's talking every few minutes. The Pie says, yeah, I like Days Gone, but at certain points he definitely felt like a different character. Very much like he had split personality. More so when the lady was involved. Yeah, I honestly, I didn't make it that far into the game, so I don't remember that much about the lady and stuff like that, but I do remember that, like, kind of like you said, it seemed like he had just he was 2 different people. And I don't know, I just felt that unsettling's not the word, but it made me not want to invest in that character anymore. Right? I was like, and actually, you know, his character was fine when he was acting normal. When he was acting like some kind of a sane person, but when he was by himself and he was doing the missions and he was doing all that grumbling and side talking, I was like, what is happening? It was really off-putting. Did you beat the game, Pi? Like I said, I don't remember how far I made it. Couldn't have been more than like 4 or 5 hours, if that. But I do remember, man, nothing like those hordes. There was nothing like those hordes. That was fun. To be fair, Days Gone, I think when they were trying to play around with the bit with that weird flashback storytelling, that doesn't help. Yeah, that's right. That storytelling. I appreciate the originality. I do. You know, and it's always what's it called? Good to see when people and creators and developers are trying something new, right? They're trying something different. So that's good to see. So I applaud that, but it doesn't always land. And that's the unfortunate part about it, right? That's why so many like big name companies, they end up making games and movies or whatever based off of an algorithm. And that's why so many games and movies feel the same and lifelike or lifeless. Because creating something new and trying a different path is a risk. Alright, is this where I find nickel? I don't remember. Yeah. Jackass. I'm not sure if I beat it, to be honest. There was a good number of hours. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I know I made it nowhere near. I was still definitely very early game when I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's something that I've thought about going back to, revisiting at some point. Because, you know, it'd be like that too, man. It's like, there's times where you run into a game and, like, you know, or you think you would like it. It seems like it'd be right up your alley. And then you're just kind of not into it at the time. But then, you know, revisit it a few months, maybe even a year or so later. And you end up being like, oh, this was awesome. You know? So, could be something like that. Timing's not right. You know, you find games, kind of like everything else, at different times in your life when you're ready for it. That's lead. What am I looking for? Nickel. Pi says, yeah, that's why it keeps, wait. It's why we keep... I can read. I swear. Yep, it's why we get the same thing over and over. It's that whole safe bet, then try. Then they just find something that works. Then they hammer at it way too hard, like with the whole... comic book movie thing. For a while it was all about what if heroes were evil or heroes owned by corporation. Yeah, you know, and that's pretty natural where it's like you get those fads. You know, in the 80s, for example, it was, you know, big name explosion, all these big name actors, and then they gave them big guns and explosions, right? And then you go into like the 90s, rom-coms, you know, all that kind of thing. So I was like, it definitely follows trends and fads, but you're definitely right. I felt it hard with the Marvel series, just like you were saying, the comic books. And it started even before the whole what if superheroes were evil or, you know, more human-like. You know, it just kind of started with like the Iron Man and the Thor movies. I was like, once the third Iron Man movie came out, I was like, yeah, this is a very similar formula. And I was like, I'm starting to not be into this anymore. And then here we are, what, I don't know, 20, 30 years later, still doing the same damn thing. And then everybody's doing it. Now it's like you watch any movie and everybody's doing that whole Marvel quippy, everyone has one-liner jokes. Everyone has to have some kind of a comic relief situation. Nothing can be serious. No consequences. Man, that gets me. What is that? I've never seen you before. No consequences. You know, characters die and then they come back alive, or you think a character died and they're like, oh no, they were actually in another ship. I didn't blow them up. You know, Gamora dies, but then they bring another version of her back into our universe. No stakes, man. There's nothing to be invested in, you know? Twilight. Oh my god, Twilight. So I couldn't stand the Twilight series like most men. My ex-wife had me watch it with her and stuff like that, and I just, you know, obviously not for me. What is that? Maybe this is somewhere I shouldn't be.
Fluid intake.
Yeah, thank you, Jasmine. Oh, yep. My instinct was right. I don't even know if this is where I'm supposed to be for nickel, but I'm just kind of talking and not really doing anything. Yes, I know. I went too close to the sun. I am Icarusing my way out of here. I don't...
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Thank you, Ponderosa. Water. Boop.
Vital signs stabilizing.
But yeah, you know, in Twilight, and I was like, the one time that I was like, holy shit, this is getting good. At the very end, when they had that last fight, and everyone's getting their heads chopped off, and the earth swallowing people, and I was like, this is finally awesome. And then it was a dream, it was a vision. I was like, no, what? What a cop-out. Instantly lost any kind of respect I developed. Pi says, oh yeah, the no consequence thing, especially for a lot of recent stuff where someone does something completely evil and is forgiven by the one person, it's all okay. Yep. Oh yeah, like that. I mean, that's so annoying.
Calorie intake recommended.
Okay, thank you, Jasmine. Yep. I'll head back. I know, I wasn't prepared. I'm over here talking. Is that nickel? Ah, it is nickel. All right, I'm in the right place. Excellent. The best thing Twilight did was spawn the Yeah, you got that right. You got that right. They completely ruined vampires and werewolves. And then there's that whole trend too, you know, talking about the female leads that have very little personality, yet everyone's obsessed with them. Like all these vampires and werewolves going crazy over Bella, who had the personality of a walnut. The emotional range of an avocado. I was like, this is the lady that everyone's obsessed over? I was like, you're making these century-old ancient beings, probably, I mean, I would even say on the verge of Lovecraftian. You're talking vampires and werewolves. Maybe not Lovecraftian, but I don't know another word for it, but all these ancient beings, and then you have this one human who says and does nothing of worth. Yeah, her presence is like, oh, she's amazing, she's the best, we need to protect her, we need to be with her. I need to fall in love with her baby. Like, what? Come on, man. Come on, man. Not wrong on both accounts. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the validation, because I don't want to say it bothers me, but it's definitely something I think about. I'm like, man, this is where we're at. Okay, not much luck on the nickel finding. I found one. Two. But that's enough to build the next part of the rocket. So we're just gonna go back. We'll take Clyde back, do a nice little reset. We'll be able to build the next part of the rocket. Alright. Go. We need to. That's what we need. We need to build another base down here, so I can get a scanner going and be able to get the more rare resources like the nickels. But yeah, you know, I'm ready for the next thing. I'm actually like, I'm so ready for superhero movies to not be a thing anymore. Like, I remember, you know, when I was younger, when I was a kid growing up, and I'm sure you guys are around the same age as I am, it was like there weren't very many superhero movies, and the ones that did come out were garbage. I want to say that like Blade was probably one of the first superhero movies that like actually had a good production, and like kind of got. I want to say Blade was the one that got like superhero movies on the map. But like I said, by the time Iron Man 3 came out, I was like, I'm already done with this. Let's get something new. Pi says, yeah, I feel it's more passable if they didn't try to take it too serious, but they always try to make a piece of lumber the most interesting thing. And it never worked, right? Yeah, it's one of those, it's kind of those show not tell things, right? So it's like they show you this character and like, oh, look how beautiful, look how amazing.
Emergency.
All of these vampires and werewolves want her so bad. She must be the most incredible thing. And it's like, is she? It's like, you give her, look at her for about 5 minutes, you know, give a conversation. You know, instead of like showing this character and why she would be so amazing. And like, you know, okay, I'm all for it. If there's a story where like, hey, all of a sudden there's this human that's making both vampires and werewolves go crazy and there was a reason for it. Like maybe she was an exceptional human in whatever way, or I don't know. I don't even know. I couldn't think of something off the top of my head. But yeah, the fact that they're like, oh no, she's just amazing. Just accept it. Just believe us. More passable. Blade was good. The Spawn movie wasn't bad. And then eventually a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man showed how it could be mass audience. Yeah, 100. I agree with that. I really liked the Spawn movie. A lot of people didn't, but I really enjoyed it. Of course, you know, that was what, early 90s, and I was 12 years old, you know, so I was like, anything that had hell and fire and that kind of thing I was into, but I really dug it. Plus I always liked Spawn. But yeah, the Blades were good. But yeah, you're definitely right. It was definitely Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire, that made people be like, oh yeah, we can, this is like actually marketable. We can make this into something big. And then they recasted Spider-Man 3 times. I was like, holy shit. That was actually kind of flabbergasting when I heard that they were redoing Spider-Man. Actually, the second time, I was like, why don't they just keep Tobey Maguire for a few more, you know, movies, or maybe even, I don't know, let Spider-Man rest for a bit? I was like, he's been at it for 20 years. And then, oh my god, the rehashes of the origin stories. Like, how many times has Batman's parents died? I'm like, at this point, like, I don't even feel bad for him anymore. I'm just like, you're just in this loop where your parents are constantly dying. Yeah, and Batman too. I'm like, God, how many Batmans have we had in my time? Like, without knowing all the names off the top of my head, I would say at least 6 or 7. And I'm like, and that's some from like the 90s, maybe late 80s. I don't remember when the Dark Knight came, or that original Batman with Michael Keaton came out. Either early 90s, late 80s, but Batman's parents, how many times has Spider-Man's powers changed? Yeah, exactly. And it's like, at some point, man, let's give this a rest, or let's find a new superhero, or maybe no superhero at all. Let's just kind of hang out, find something new to mess with. You know, like, I talk about this with people all the time because I used to be a huge Star Wars fan, man. I was like, the Star Wars was the one thing that I would like geek out over until Disney took over. And I was like, okay, you know, I have no problem with someone doing, you know, redoing Star Wars, whatever, making a new story, yada, yada, yada. But they didn't even make a new story. It was like the first one in the series, episodes, 7? Was just A New Hope rehashed with worse characters. And I'm like, you have an entire galaxy You have not only an entire galaxy, but you have a sub-galaxy. You have so much lore to pull from. Come on, power up.
Power restored.
Come on.
All primary systems online.
Vital
Right.
signs stabilizing.
So much source to pull from. Like, I really thought, and granted, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, so I don't know all the little lore details and stuff, but when I heard that they were coming out with an episode 7, I was like, this would be a perfect time to introduce a Yu Zhongbang invasion. Right? Like, Luke Skywalker reestablishes the Jedi Order. And not only that, but, like, you know, you could bring, what's his name? Mark Hamill back as Luke Skywalker because he's older, he's more aged, you know, and running the temple. It would make sense. And then not only that, but that adds a whole new thing to the Force. Where it's like, oh, you know, like this whole time for 6 movies, we built up how powerful the Force is. But now we have this new entity that isn't affected by the Force at all. So what do we do now? That would have been amazing. I would have been all about that. And granted, you know, there's no guarantee it would have turned out great, but I was like, at least the story would have been far more interesting. But then they did the same thing. They rehashed an old story. They gave us a Plank as a main character that we're supposed to fall in love with. Again, another character who doesn't have to have any struggles. She just knows who she is, and her only limitation is people holding her back and not letting her believe in herself. And if you can't tell, I can't stand Rey. Probably one of my least favorite characters in media. Yeah, no, go away. I wanted to rechat. Warper. Yeah, I felt bad for the actors a bit. They did accept the roles, but there was a trash trilogy of rehash and original fan. Yeah, I remember. I even saw an interview with Mark Hamill, and he was like, you know what? He was like, this is Luke Skywalker. He's like, but it's not my Luke Skywalker. And he reluctantly did it when he saw the script, and he was like, I don't want to do this, but I don't know if he's like under contract and he has to. I know there's a lot of that bullshit that happens in Hollywood, and what they did to his character, man, they absolutely assassinated Luke Skywalker. Like, I'll admit, growing up, Luke Skywalker wasn't my favorite character. I always found him kind of whiny, which seems to run in the Skywalker family. But I was like, when he came back, I was like, at least he like grew, right? Like, you saw the whole progression, 3 movies, how much he grew, how much he matured. And then all of a sudden, in episode 7, he's an asshole, and he's like, I don't want no force, I don't like no lightsaber, I ain't gonna help you nothing, you're smirking, bro. And then he tries to kill Ben Solo? What? What? He spared Darth Vader. Darth Vader he spared. And yet he was gonna kill Ben Solo. I was like, come on, man. Come on, make this make sense. Make it make sense. Or Thrawn, or the Zan cartel, etc. Yeah, so many options that had the story already plotted out. Yeah, absolutely. Star Wars has years and years of history and fan fiction and, lore and all that, but instead of doing any of that, so here was my problem. I just didn't go far out enough. Okay. But instead of doing that, they decided to kind of redo everything, and now the lightsaber changes color because based on your personality. I was like, come on, man. Can you please let me in, Clyde? Grab me. Grab me. There we go. Jesus. Kathleen Kennedy did all the damage. It was her. Yeah, that's what I hear, and I hear a lot of people can't stand her. Either way, I was like, I don't blame anyone, but I was like, I blame the corporation. Whoever it is, whoever did it, they messed it up hard. I refused to watch episode 9. Like, I saw episode 6, and I was like, okay, it's garbage, but I was like, I'll give it a chance, because, at least they're rehashing it, plus it's Star Wars. And then I saw episode 7, and I was like, this is the worst. This is the worst. New Guy and Bill and Ted's Part 3, Something Real Dumb on a Date. Oh, yeah. New Guy was good. I like New Guy. Bill and Ted 3. I actually haven't seen a Bill and Ted. Bender says, son of Darth Vader sus. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Vader Jr. That's true. You know, there was, but I mean, it's been established in the lore that Luke's struggled with the dark side, you know, and all that, and he mastered it, right? But again, another super interesting storyline that was completely cut because they wanted a strong, no-nonsense female protagonist that couldn't do anything wrong, was super powerful already in the Force. She just had to believe in herself. On the effing lightsaber color thing, FFs is established in every media that it's based on the crystal. Oh yeah, it has been since the beginning. Since the beginning has been the Kyber crystals. And now they decided to make it based on emotion. I feel evil. My lightsaber is red now. Whatever. Whatever. And then I have more. And then when I heard the whole line from episode 9 when he was like, oh, somehow Palpatine's returned, and I was like, Palpatine's been the villain for 9 movies. 9 movies. 9. Give us something new. I want a new bad guy. I actually had high hopes for Snoke. I really did. When I saw Snoke, I was like, okay, this guy looks kind of cool. I was like, I can dig it. I can get behind this.
Aboard, Captain.
And then he died so unceremoniously. I was like, come on. Like, this guy is supposed to be a powerful Sith Lord, and he can't sense what's happening, that old boy is using the Force to turn the lightsaber on and cut him in half. Come on, man.
All systems online.
Oh, hang on. I almost forgot some stuff on Ponderosa here. So yeah, and the only reason why I go so hard on Marvel and Star Wars is because I used to be such a big fan. Like, I used to be a huge fan of all of that. You know, growing up, it was a huge part of my childhood. And now I actually have to be... Now I'm like real careful to tell people that I'm a Star Wars fan, because I've done it a few times where I'm like, oh yeah, you know, I'm a big Star Wars fan, and then someone's like, oh yeah, I love Rey, and I'm like, no, you're not a Star Wars fan. I was like, you don't like Star Wars. Bender says, he was a good Star Wars memory. I was 11 in 1976, saw Star Wars #1 11 times in the next 2 years. Mom said, don't you want to see a different movie? Nope. 12 times in a row in a... Wait, 12 times in a row in 3 states. That's awesome, bro. That's really cool, actually. I almost can't imagine how blown away I was. Oh, yeah. Like, my first experience with Star Wars was when the 30-year anniversary came out on the VHS, the 3-pack. And my father had bought it. And I was like, what is this? And he was like, oh, you know, it's a movie from, you know, back in the day. And he's like, there's a 30th or maybe 25th year, something like that. He was like, I think you'd like it. And like, you know, he had me watch it. And I started watching, and I was 8 years old, and I'll be honest, I had no idea what was happening. I was like, I didn't understand what the Force was. I didn't know where they were. I just didn't understand it. But I loved it. I loved it so much. I was like, they're in space. They're flying spaceships, shooting lasers, blowing up. There's aliens. There's laser swords. I was like, this is amazing. And then a few years later, I want to say 5 years later. Yeah, because I was 13 when they did the remasters. I think that was the 30-year edition when they did the remasters and then put them back out in the theaters. And then I got to experience them in the theaters for the first time. And I was a happy boy. Bender says he was a big science fiction fan from reading tons of books. That's awesome, man. And that's probably the better way to go about it, right? Because like reading it, if you like reading, I mean, reading, you can get so much more detail, so much more world, you know.
Immediately.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Thank you, Jasmine. Wizards in space with swords and shit. Yeah, exactly. I was like, as an 8-year-old, what more do I need? And there's aliens, and like, that was the okay, so that was another thing that really got me, was they put so much work into those characters in the original Star Wars, and not only just like the main characters, but like look around at how many alien species there were. That cantina scene, from what I understand, was a really difficult scene for them to film, but that cantina scene in A New Hope, I mean, nothing like it. The atmosphere, the number of alien creatures that they had, and the fact that they were just like intermingling, kind of like, I mean, like they were real, you know? And then not only that, but they were practical, right? They were all puppets and they were all suits, so they did look real. I mean, that's one of the scenes that stuck with me the most, because I was like, man, look at all these like aliens and this is awesome.
Stabilizing.
And then I feel like in
Calorie.
the newer ones, you barely see any new worlds, any new races. It's all humans, maybe a handful of them. And then what was that garbage?
Vital signs. Stabilizing.
Oh god, what was that garbage? When Leia got jettisoned from the ship, she started floating away, and then she froze, and then used the Force to pull herself back into the ship. I was like, come on. Oh, this was unintentionally the most hilarious thing I have ever seen. And I'm all for it, right? I'm all for, like, making Carrie Fisher strong in the Force, making Leia... I mean, it makes sense. She's a Skywalker, right? But that right there... That scene... Oh, my God. She, like, froze to death and then made herself float back, and then she was in a coma. I was like, come on. God, give me a break here. There's definitely much better ways, much more believable ways to show that she was strong in the Force. Oh, man. Anywho, that was a long rant about media. Gotta get it out of my system. I was like, yo, how did I never notice that moon before? Look at that. Probably because I'm never on the surface. Like, that would make sense, I guess, but... Wow, look at that. That is awesome looking. Hold on. Get out of my way, drone. Look at that. No wonder why this planet's all water. Look at the size of that moon. How close it's got to be. Death Star Trench bombing run was etched into my memory. Man, that was something to see. Oh, man. Yeah, the Death Star run is so iconic. It's such an iconic... I remember when they started making video games and you could do the Death Star run. And I was like, I'm there. I am 100% there. That whole scene, that whole fighting scene, I don't care how realistic it is. I don't care about none of that. I was like, this is awesome. And then when the Millennium Falcon came back and saved Luke, I was like, yes! Oh, man, I got so giddy. I don't get excited a whole lot. I really don't, but that really made me giddy. Here we go, building the next part of the rocket. So it looks like this is just the rocket parts. I'm probably going to have to build, like, the canopy and all that here, too. Yeah, they did a whole lot of leaping over sharks. The trench one is such a great scene too. Oh my god, yeah, it's iconic. It really is. I would say one of the greatest scenes in cinema history. But yeah, that whole Star Wars franchise, especially the first three, man. I was like, George Lucas did something amazing with that stuff. And then Disney took it. Alright, so we need another plasteel ingot, crystalline sulfur, 4 of them, 4 kyanite. Ion power cell. Can I don't even know what an ion power cell is. Can I make an ion power cell? I haven't seen one of those. Oh, hang on. We got a blueprint here. Is this... Did it give me the ion power cell? Is that what this is about? No. It's the fuel reserve. Alright. Ion power cell. Where would I even find one of those? Because there's no new stations that I can build. Right? Fabricator. I would think it'd be in the electronics. I have no idea. I'm at a loss here because it should be right here. I mean, it must be a blueprint I haven't found yet, maybe? Maybe? I don't know. Yeah, there's no way you build it here. Wouldn't be here either. Huh. Okay. Well, I gotta figure out how to make an ion power cell. Whatever the hell that is. Alright, but I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back down and make another base, another scanner room base. So we gotta try to remember everything that we need. I've done this enough times, you would think I would know. I would remember. But I don't. I don't always. Reinforcement, I know we need a multi-purpose room. Scanner room, of course. I always take enough to build at least a second compartment, just in case. I still need a Cyclops sonar upgrade. I have no idea where to get that from. But honestly, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be using the Cyclops much anymore. Get rid of the glass. Alright. So let's double check this, make sure I have everything selected. I believe I do. Let me see. Multi-purpose room, scanner room. A door. I need a door, a hatch. Okay. Multi-purpose room, door, scanner room, reinforcement, bioreactor. Okay, that's everything. And I do remember that takes 17 titanium. I don't know why I remember that number. 1, 2, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Put the silver and the diamond go over here. Yeah, diamond goes over there. Let me make sure that counts right. 6, 12, 19, technically. Okay, so 2 more. I think it's 17 without the extra tube. Oh, you know what? I didn't even notice that when you have multiple things in your inventory, it actually tells you how many you can make. It's real small. If you look at there on the icons and look at the bottom right, like that tube, it says X7. So I have enough on me to make 7 of them. Interesting. Okay. I need a wiring kit, which is going to take 2 silver. I need another silver. Do I have a don't I have a wiring kit hanging around? I could have sworn. Maybe I used it already. Okay. I'm going to need silver. So let's go find some of that real quick. I guess we'll find a scanner room. Scratch my face a little bit. And we're looking for sandstone chunks, I believe. Oh, there's silver ore sitting. There's silver ore sitting around. I'll just do that. I don't need much. It looks like there's at least one sitting over there. That must be one that I dropped or something. I do remember having to assemble the ship. I don't remember it needing this many parts. But I could just have bad memory. It was like 3 years ago. Ah. Now, of course the silver ore would be where the volcano is. Alright. Where's that? So it's literally... Okay. Alright, I gotta get out of here. Maybe I can grab it. No. Gimme. There we go. I'm out. That must have been from that one time I died in there trying to set up a thermal power. You know, funny thing about Star Wars, I don't know if it's true, if it's actually a thing, but I feel like Star Wars is one of, if not the most referenced movies, like in other forms of media. And like it's so recognizable too, man. Like I remember in this cartoon I used to watch, The Kids Next Door. It was this weird cartoon about kids who were spies or whatever, but there was one scene where they actually depicted the Hoth battle, but instead of like, you know, these big machines and the Imperial, it was kids that were using like rulers and pencils and stuff like that as armor and weapons, and they were going against adults, and the AT-ATs were school buses and they were shooting books, you know, stuff like that. It was just dumb. But I was like, I see Star Wars references everywhere. Wait, is that cooked? Rotten already? I just cooked it. Ah. Where's my trash can? Oh, I don't have a trash can anymore. That's right. I used to have a trash can. I could build one. And I probably will because I don't want this sitting around. What does it cost to make a trash can? Please? There we go. Kids Next Door was fun. I agree. I think I was a little bit older when I started watching, when it came out, or when I started watching it. I can't remember exactly, but it was fun. I dug it. It was different, definitely. Doesn't make much sense when you think about it. But it's still good. It's still a good time. We need a quartz. Do I have a quartz? I have many, or a few quartz. Gold and copper. 1 gold. 2 copper. I need a table coral, which I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to find, but that's easy. Wiring kit and lubricant. I don't think I have any lubricant sitting around. So we gotta get more. Oh, there we go. I do have a lubricant. So we need the wiring kit. And a lithium. A lead and then a table coral. That's all we need now. Come on, lead. Boop. And a tape. What is that? Oh. And now we gotta go find a table coral, and we'll be good to go. Okay. Alright, alright. Started the 65 minutes, just under or just over an hour ago we started. Which is cool. I usually go about 3 hours when I do this stream. I don't know if I'm gonna make it this time. I've been feeling a little tired lately. I think I've been playing too many video games and it's starting to take a toll on me.
Intake.
Alright, let's go get some water and then we will take off, find ourselves a new spot. Do some more traveling all the way down there. Apparently I saw this clip and the clip had said something about the voice line in Subnautica that made most people quit. And I was like, I don't know about that, but it was like, I guess if you go to the outer skirts of the map, outer edges, then you're basically running to I think they call it the abyss, where there's, I guess tons of ghost leviathan, and it's like you're basically dead if you go out there. Haven't seen it, don't want to see it. Why is my rotten fish? I built a biohazard can. That's, oh my god. I didn't even know there was a biohazard can. Nuclear wastes. So where the hell's the trash can at? I know I built one. Hold up. No, you're messing with me now.
Calorie intake.
Nuclear waste. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, it's all Ghost Leviathan. I have tested it, at least in the older versions. Okay. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if it's still the same because, you know, they got to put an outer limit on the map somehow. People don't like invisible walls. They never have. So it's a pretty elegant way of handling it. But the thing I think is, how lucky is this guy that he landed in this tiny spot that happens to be a little bit more shallow and there's not as many like ghost leviathans and stuff like that around. Like how lucky is this guy he happened to land in this area? How fortunate you are. Things could have been a whole lot worse for this guy, that's for sure. Alright, no, I gotta fill myself up because I'm gonna be headed back down to the deep low. And actually what I'm gonna do, I think I moved all those nutrient bars to the Cyclops, so I'll go over there. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know there's definitely moments where I'm like, this invisible wall is the worst. Yeah, and I understand why it was a thing, you know, back in the day, but nowadays it's kind of a lazy design, right? Bippity boppity. Oh, that's why I have room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I only have 12 on me now. I need 19. I don't know if I can fit them all in my pockets here. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm one shy. Just one. That's right. I could put... and put these away. Get my one titanium. Bloop. All right. I believe that is everything. So let's go. Let's head on out. Bloop. All right, Marshmallow. How much charge do you have? 100%? Good. Let's do it. Ouch. Quick and sort of an odd question. Have you guys ever felt like your genres are changing? Like, it's kind of weird. I never really noticed it before. But the last few years, I've played so much of these survival, crafting type games. And as much as I love them, I still love them. I'm starting to feel like I'm growing out of them, that I'm starting to, like, my mentality's starting to lean towards a different kind of gameplay. Like, I love these games, you know, especially like Subnautica, don't get me wrong, but I'm starting to feel like I'm leaning more towards games that don't require so much commitment, if that makes sense, you know? So much back and forth gathering and all that. Again, no complaints, you know, I love these kind of games. Ark Survival, my favorite. Subnautica, Valheim. Unfortunately, no, there's a couple I'm definitely not a fan of.
Welcome.
I kind of refused to play Rust. I really never had any kind of interest. Especially once I saw, like, the community. I was like, bleh. Bender says I still want to build ridiculously. You know, I was actually thinking about that yesterday, because I was like, you know, playing Raft. It's a good game, but I was like, I kind of want to just build, you know? I was like, I'm kind of getting to a point where I'm like, I think I'm okay with just building, like, in creative, you know? Never really was before. All right, are we out of water already? God damn it. Okay. Why would you do that? Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to go back and get some more water. Napai says, yeah, I still like the genre, but I need a bit of a break. I went back to a few other games recently. Yeah, that's what's up. Okay, yeah. Like, I'm sure it's a common thing. You know, because these games, they require a lot, right? They require a lot of, it's not like, not a lot of skill, necessarily. But it requires a lot of brain power, a lot of problem solving, a lot of remembering, like, recipes and stuff like that. A lot of keeping track of the food and the hunger. Great games, fun systems and all that, but yeah, like Pi said, I was like, I think every once in a while you just kind of need a break. And I remember you saying that, Pi. What game was it that you were getting into again? But I think that's part of why I started going into the more like versus mode type games, the chivalry, well, even Vermintide. But something where it's like you play in shorter stints. And, you know, because even I think actually I think a part of what changed it was that change was when I started doing the hour, the 1 to 100 with Vane. And like I started realizing just like how little you can get done in an hour. You know, even if you like focus on it, it's still a little, it's a lot. It's a lot. Been playing Total War Warhammer. Okay, the big strategy games. I am terrible at real-time strategies. It's one of those games. You guys ever feel that where it's like you want to be good at a certain genre game, but you're not? And you kind of never will be? That was always RTSs for me. I've always been super interested. I love the concept of it, all the armies, the resource gathering, you know, the building up formations and stuff like that. I'm like, it's pretty cool. But I'm not good at those games, to put it lightly. Like the one that I played the most was Age of Empires 3. I loved that game. I did anyway. And even that one, as much as I played, I couldn't get past normal difficulty. If I put the bots past anything other than normal, I was boned. You're not great at it, to be fair, but you like Total War games. And hey, you know what? Here's the thing too about games, that you don't have to be good at them to enjoy them, right? Like, that's kind of the beauty of it. Like, so many people, and with so many things, like, things get so elitist so fast. right? Where it's like people will be like, "Oh, you don't play games on hard mode. You're not a real gamer." And it's like, how am I not a real gamer? I'm playing a game, right? Like that makes me a gamer. I play regularly. But like, you know, these dudes that and it's like that with all walks of life, where you get your people who are casual into it. They enjoy the thing. They don't necessarily have to be super competitive or good to enjoy it, you know? But then there's those people that's their whole identity. They're like, if they're not good at this game, then they're nothing, or whatever it is. Whatever the case, whatever flows their, whatever tickles their scrotum, you know, I don't know. I'm not in their heads, but those are definitely the more off-putting ones. You know, I ran into that a lot with things like Warhammer 40K, and like back when I was playing it fantasy, you know, tabletop, where it was tough to find people who wanted to play just for fun. Like there was so many people. Like I wanted to actually, because like in the older books I would read, and like they were talking about how, you know, these guys would start these like full-on campaigns with each other.
Engine powering up.
And you know, they would have like whole storylines and consequences. You know, the match would change in someone's favor based off of how the last match went. And I was like, that would be awesome. That would be fun. But I literally couldn't find very few people who are into that. Most of the people that I know that are into it are very much rules heavy and want to find the broken armies, right? The ones that's gonna wipe the floors with everyone. And I'm like, well, that's no fun, especially if I'm paying $1,000 to get into this game. But I think that's probably a part of it too, is that kind of game in particular is very expensive. Like ridiculously expensive, almost prohibitively expensive to get into. Not something you can really dabble in. Oh, you know what? No, I take that back. Magic the Gathering was definitely the worst elitism I had ever run into. I think I've played a total of like 3 Magic games, and I was like, yeah, that's not happening anymore. And it sucks too, because Magic's a really good system. It's a really good card system, I think. You know, I was like, I really dig the way it works. The problem is very easily broken. Very easily. And then you find lists that you run into that people have like 2 or 3 of the same cards and they run over and over again, or whatever it is they do. There was one time that I played, and it was my very first time I had a starter deck, and I played against this chick who had been playing for a while. Dudes have been teaching her how to play, and this dude who had been playing since the 80s. So I was like, all right, you know, I was like, maybe they'll go easy on me. I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. This is my first game. They didn't take it easy on me. I don't know the exact rules that happened, but essentially, it came out to where both of them had 1,000 1/1 tokens, right? Like it was like some wild chain thing that happened between their decks, that it was like one of them like summoned a creature, a 1/1 squirrel. They were like, anytime this happens, then a 1/1 squirrel gets summoned. And then the other one had there we go. And the other one was, anytime a 1/1 creature is summoned, put one on your side of the field. And then somehow they both ended up with 1,000 1/1 creatures, and I'm sitting here with a starter deck that's not even optimized. I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? So needless to say, I walked away and I never picked it up again. Got rid of all my cards. I just gave them away to someone. Not like I had much anyway. I was like, look, here's just a starter deck. I ain't interested. And, you know, I'm not the kind that's gonna run on adversity, you know, especially in a game and stuff like that. But I was like, any game that can do this is not one that I'm interested in. And then to top it off, the climate around Magic the Gathering isn't always the most welcoming. Like, it's funny, you know, because these are the kind of games that you need other people to play, right? And you would think that players would want more people to play, but then you get in there and they don't act that way at all. They act like you're more of a burden to them than anything. And not everyone, obviously, you know, but it's one of those rules: the few ruins it for the many, right? And I've personally had, especially with Magic, far more negative interactions than I have positive, that's for sure. Warhammer, not so bad, but, you know, when you set up and the game takes like 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours, that can get really rough, especially if you're like losing, like if you have a bad turn or you make a mistake and then you start like losing, you start steamrolling, it's tough to be there that whole time. It's funny, man, because I think about it all the time. I think about getting back into Warhammer because I kind of like it all. I like the universe. I love the models. I love painting and modeling myself. Love the idea. Kind of like with RTSs, I love the idea of the unit formations and the strategies. But man, when you're looking at $500 to $1,000 just for entry, just to get yourself a decent-sized army that you're gonna have to find space for, you're gonna have to travel with them, you're gonna have to find other people who are willing to give up 4 hours of their day, 4 or 5 hours, just to set up these plastic pieces and push them around and fight each other. You start putting it logistically like that, and it's like, yeah, I'm an adult, and it's difficult to do. Pi says, I never got into Magic the Gathering, but I've heard more than a few stories about it not being great because they kept making new ridiculous decks. Yeah, and that was the thing. Like I said, I thought the systems were good. I really thought that the systems were very balanced. But yeah, you are right that you basically aren't winning unless you have a cheese deck. Like, you know, I remember I played against a guy who just, it didn't matter what I played. Anytime I played anything, he would put out a creature, then he would sacrifice that creature to make a stronger creature, and then just kept doing that. And it was like, that's what his deck did. And I was like, yeah, this is boring for me. I was like, I have no answer, you know? And that's kind of, it seems like that's how Magic works, is that you need to build these decks that have no answer to them in order to do well. Bender says, I used to play MTG with my brother and 2 friends, was all before internet, still have 4 great decks. Would love leave long game setups on tape. We would leave long game set. Oh, oh man, I can read. We would leave long game setup on the table. Yeah. If you have that option, then that's definitely nice. When I was playing Warhammer, there was definitely a few times where we did that because there was a certain shop that I would go to, and we ended up becoming really good friends. So we would do some games like overnight where we'd be there till like 10 midnight, something like that, be halfway through a game, and it's like, all right, we're gonna set this up and come back tomorrow. You know, he was the owner. So that's cool if you could have a core friend group that does that kind of thing. And that makes sense. But if you're trying to get into it more casually, trying to find those groups that do it, it can be a lot harder. You know, not only is it niche, you know, it is pretty niche. So it's kind of hard to find those people depending on where you live. You honestly don't get a whole lot of game time either. You know, when I was playing Warhammer, I realized that like 90% of my time went into list building and theory bashing, you know, stuff like that, versus actually playtime. Even the playing, you know, if you're there 3.5, 4 hours, at least, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour of that is the setup. You know, setting the board up, getting all your pieces out, putting them up. So before the first dice is even rolled, you're looking at half an hour, 45 minutes. And like, you know, it gets more difficult when you become an adult. It was like, I love the idea of finding a D&D group, or, you know, role-playing in general, not necessarily D&D, but a role-playing group. A group that like regularly meets together once a week. But, you know, when you got adults, careers, families, responsibilities, That can be really hard to find. And then not only that, but you have to find a group that you get along with, a group that's like-minded, that sort of has a similar, maybe not the same, but a similar gaming style. All right, I think we're gonna stop around here to build that base. Let me see. We all know how much I like outcroppings, and you know, if I keep this up, I may use this as like a thermal power source. Oh, Warper, go away. And Jelly Ray, so right about here. We all know how much I love building on outcrops. And I think... Yep, I think this is it. Right over here. Right over... Boom. There we go. So yeah, now these days, I tend to watch people play Warhammer, and like I'll follow battle reports and stuff. And honestly, if I were ever to get back into Warhammer or something similar, I would probably be far more into the creative side of it, like actually creating like putting the pieces together and painting them and stuff. I think that would be much more my jam. Actually, I know it would. There we go. And then, of course, once you do all that painting, you want to see them on the table, so maybe get a few games in. But yeah, you know, it's pipe dreams. It's not. It's something. It's kind of like, I equate it to like skiing or snowboarding, because you know I live in Colorado, and everyone asks me like, "Oh, you must do the winter sports and stuff," and I was like, "Hell no, I don't." And it's not that I don't like them. I went skiing one time, and it was all right. But you know, it's the cost versus like you know the getting up there. And I was like, the amount of fun that I had doing it
Emergency power.
doesn't justify me
Offline.
putting that much money into it, right? That much time and money. Because like I said, I was like, it was fun. I had a good time, but not that much fun, right? I'm like, not enough to drop a couple thousand in gear, maybe even like 4,000 or 5,000 in gear. The passes, you know, a day pass is right around 250, 300 bucks to go skiing or snowboarding. People offset that by buying them yearly, buying them annually, but that's still 1,100 bucks a year, you know. And if you do it all the time, that's great, because that saves you money. The one thing I forgot was a fabricator, and I think I need a table coral for that as well. So I should have just taken. Oh no, I need copper, but I still don't have a copper. So we need to go back and grab a copper, unfortunately.
Seek fluid intake.
Yeah. Thank you, Jasmine. We're gonna have to set up. We're gonna have to set up like a garden or something in between here and the main base, because I feel like I don't get a whole lot of travel time before I gotta re-water up. Yeah. Yeah. There was a while that I started getting really into board games. Because even though, you know, some of them that I like, my favorite board games, usually take a good amount of time, 3, 4, 5 hours. But, you know, it's a one-time thing. You can just sit down, set it up, have a good time, put it away. The number of games that I've only played one time is wild. Did I go the wrong way? Am I supposed to go up? Let me see. Alright, let's hold on to this. My brother got screwed 2 years in a row when it didn't snow much, where he had the season multi-mount. Oh, yeah, and you know what? I didn't even think about that. Like, I know people are upset this year in Colorado because we are having a very warm winter. I mean, even right now, it's probably 50 degrees out there, which isn't like super warm, but like for January, that's rare. I think we've had 2 snows this year. And granted, you go up into the mountains and it's a lot colder, a lot more snowy. but still, it's a very mild winter year. Oh boy. So yeah, there's that, and it's like you pay this $1,100 to be able to go whenever you want. But then nature decides something else, right? Nature's like, nope, we're just not gonna snow this year. You're not gonna be able to use it much. And then there's $1,100 down the drain. Bender does jigsaw puzzles, tough ones, like all black picture on both sides, all gumballs, challenging. That's actually interesting. I've seen it in a movie one time, and I've heard of people who challenge themselves by doing a jigsaw puzzle upside down. So there's no picture at all. It's just the cardboard. And they do that, and then they flip it over, and then they get to see the whole picture. And I was like, that's an interesting challenge. Jigsaws are cool. I haven't done one in years, but they're really good. They're really good for you. They're good for the mind. Something gives you something to focus on that's quiet, silent. You can do it by yourself. That's a lot of what we're missing these days. A lot of people, myself included, right? Like I get a little bored. I'm like, I have to be stimulated all the time, right? Like the number of times that I reach for my phone in a day is ridiculous. It's absolutely moronical, almost. And I'm like, we've just gotten so much into this day where everything has to be so active and flashy and, flashing lights and ringing bells and, stimulation. And it's like a lot of us have forgotten to just like sit and not do anything or do very little and just be at peace, right? Something I've been working on, and that's actually the thing that I was really helped me the most this last month, 'cause I was like really struggling with life. And then I realized I was like, it's because I'm still trying to control it. I'm still trying to figure things out on my own, when the best way to do it is just to kind of lay back and let it happen, and obviously you can't be totally passive, but if you continue to strong arm, if you continue to try to grip on whatever control you have over your life, it's just going to slip right out. That's what was happening. Everything was slipping. I did a lot of soul searching, a lot of chat GTP talking, a lot of soaking in water, hot water, and Epsom salts and minerals. A lot of praying, talking to my chat GTP about like God and Christianity and what a relationship with God actually looks like. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. So, all that to be said, jigsaw puzzles are great because it is a challenge, but it's not like a super stimulating challenge, right? So you can just kind of sit there, and I don't want to say do it mindlessly, but you really don't have to stress yourself out about doing it, right? Bender says, I did a clear one. Ooh. Had to develop an algorithm, but put pieces in. Try turning 3 times over, turn 3. Wait, what? Try turn 3 times, flip over, turn 3. Turn 3 times. So do you mean like put a piece, turn it 3 times, put a piece, flip it over, put a piece? Is that like a whole sequence of it? I'm not sure if I understand that. Also one where all the pieces fit everywhere. Only picture was so every piece fit together, but you had to line up the picture. That's an interesting one. I never considered that before. That'd be cool. I remember there was an at-home project that I saw. I don't know if I read it in a magazine or if I saw it on like Sesame Street or something, where people make their own jigsaw puzzles. And they were like, oh yeah, it's a good way to just like, I don't know, have something to do, and then it gives you something to do after that. So they I think this picture that I saw was a couple that took a picture of themselves and then like put it on maybe a plywood board or something like that. And they used I believe it was a jigsaw to cut the pieces out and form the jigsaw puzzle pieces. And I was like, yeah, that's That's actually really cool. That's a cool idea. Yep, rotate, not turn. Okay, I got you. So it's like you put a piece, you rotate, put a piece, rotate. I got you. That's interesting. Never considered that. I've done a handful of jigsaws in my time. I should pick up another one and do it. Maybe a good like 500 piecer or something. This is all table coral, which would have been better if I needed table coral. But alas, I do not. I need copper. I need copper.
Calorie intake recommended.
Thank you, Jasmine. I will get on that. What is it? Is it gold? That is gold. Alright, we are at Sulphur Lake now. I feel like this trip is taking me forever. Yeah, so it's not sandstone that I need, it's... yeah, it's not sandstone, I need limestone. That's where the copper is. Or I can go all the way back and get into my fat stack of coppers. Bender says, we all got one recently where the wooden pieces all look like fish. Squid, dolphin, mackerel, 500 pieces. So like the pieces were actually like shaped like fish? And you had to like interlock them that way? That'd be cool. That's dope. Gold, woo! Big ol' thing of gold too. It's a big ol' honkamajoulier. Food! Yeah, I know I need food. I know I need food, but down here food can be difficult to find. Alright, so we got the copper that we need, so we don't have to go all the way back. Although we are going to need water. Maybe we should go back just to get water. Damn. Damn. Alright, oh, there's a fish. Let me go catch that real quick. Not a whole lot of fish. I think the only fish down here really are these like skeleton fish. Which, it is what it is. Beggars can't be choosers. Unfortunately, you can't grab them out of those big schools. You have to like find the individual ones. Which I'm like, doesn't make sense, but okay. Your rules are your rules. Yes, shaped like fish, all interlocking, lots of tentacles. That's awesome. That's really cool, actually. That's a really cool idea. I've never seen that before. Never would have considered.
Power restored. All primary systems online.
Thank you, Bethany. Food. All right. I'm going to have to take a quick second here. I need to take this sweater off. It's particularly warm today. At least in my room. All right, I gotta remind myself to message my lady today, ask her on a date. Something I wanted to do yesterday. I'll have to do that today. Nom.
Stabilizing.
All right. Now I could risk going all the way back down. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do that. And actually, I think it's faster just on the on this thing. So I'm just gonna take this and run. We're gonna go build that fabricator, and then come right back. Oh, we're also gonna need some biofuel. So we'll grab a couple of those on the way, just to keep that scanner room running. Give it to me. There we go. Dunga, can you speak Portuguese? That's a very specific and random question. Negative. I speak English poorly and very little Spanish. How you doing today, Sunga? Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you stopping by. I hope you're having a blessed and beautiful Sunday. But no, I know zero Portuguese. I actually don't know any words in Portuguese. I think I could recognize it if I hear someone speaking it, but I don't know. I've never known anyone who speaks Portuguese. But you know what I find interesting, speaking of Portuguese, I really, this kind of like blew my mind, and I was like, how'd that even happen? Is that, I believe is it Brazil? Or Peru? Hang on. Now I gotta look. But it's somewhere in South America where one of the countries there speaks Portuguese. And it's like, they're surrounded by countries that speak Spanish, but for whatever reason, that country stuck with Portuguese. And I was like, I found that really interesting. Sunga says, I cannot speak English. Oh, I apologize, man. But you know what? I mean, language barriers aside, you know, energy is a universal language, right? So it's like, you can come across someone that you can't communicate with verbally, but you can pick up their energy. You can pick up their vibes. This was a bad idea. Why did I not think of oxygen? This was so dumb. So dumb. Oh, I'm going back. Thankfully, at least I recognized it before I died. I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm really not into this. I am really not in Subnautica mode today. Bender says, I can swear in Portuguese. At least aloud, lol. Only one sentence, though. Buddy in high school did a semester in Brazil. Oh, okay. So it is Brazil. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's really cool. But the fact that Brazil speaks Portuguese, but everywhere around it speaks Spanish, I thought was interesting. I can't understand you. I apologize about that, my friend. There's nothing I could do about that. I think there's a way that you can set up YouTube to be able to do, what's it called? Where is this base at? Oh no, I'm not gonna make it. There's no way. Boo! I think it's Brazil. Sunga says, I am Brazilian. Okay, that's what's up. Well, hey, welcome from Brazil, my brother. Your language is hard to me? Oh, my brother, our language is hard to everyone. Our language is hard to us. We don't even speak proper English. I heard it say that English is like the second or third most difficult language to learn. Ah, hang on. There we go.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
No, so you are far from the only one who finds English difficult. Because from what I understand, there's a lot of words that have multiple meanings. I guess that's not real common in other languages. But from what I understand, and obviously English is my first language, so I don't know any different, but like, that's what I gather from people who are foreign and trying to learn English, is that there's so many different words that mean different things based on context. Right? Based off of what's happening. And I was like, I can see that. From what I understand, Chinese or Mandarin and Russian are the two hardest languages to learn. I've never, aside from dabbling in Spanish and a little bit of French, I've never fully tried to learn a language. So I don't know which ones are more difficult. But I can definitely see. I was like, shit, I can go somewhere in my own country and run into people that I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying. Like going to Louisiana or Alabama or something, I'm like, what? What did you say? Viva o Brazil. Thanks, Google. And then Sunga says, thanks. This a lost river? I believe so, yes. I believe this is the lost river. You know, unfortunately, there's no map and nothing that tells you where you are. That would be kind of a nice feature. If, like, there was a little tag or something, like, whenever you entered a new biome. But I'm pretty sure this is the Tree of Life right here. It's gotta be, because it's a big, beautiful tree, and I haven't seen any other ones on the way down there. So beautiful. But yeah, I think languages are beautiful, and actually, now that I think about it, that's one of the things I've always wanted to do, was learn a new language. I'll be honest, very open and honest, I feel bad that I don't know Spanish like I should. My family are Spanish speaking. My parents are fully fluent in Spanish. In fact, I think both of them, that was their first language. And they wanted us to speak Spanish, but it was never really a thing for us. Like, we weren't super interested in it. Now that I'm older, I'm like, I really regret not leaning into that. And then there's a part of me, because I was like, you know, learning something like Mandarin would be cool. But then that thought makes me feel guilty, because I'm like, well, I don't even know Spanish, the language that I should know. So I should learn that first, and then we all know languages are a years-long dedication, especially once you're older. Sign to left. Sign to the left. There's a sign to the left? Like a sign that tells you where you are? Okay. So that's Jelly Ray right there. Jelly Ray 900. We're gonna go down about another 700-800 meters this way. I was confused because I was like, oh, I forgot a beacon. Or go left. Okay, I got you. Go left. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Go left. I think you meant at the Tree of Life. That whole, like, 30-40 second delay can be difficult when people are trying to help you, right? That's kind of why, okay, side note, I hear people complaining about stream sniping a lot, right? Like, they're like, oh yeah, you know, playing Dead by Daylight, or like, I don't know, Fortnite, or Call of Duty, you know, and people are like, oh, you know, you must be stream sniping me because you know where I'm at, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, but they know where you were at, like, almost a minute ago. You know, like, unless you're camping and you're sitting at the same exact spot, I don't really see how stream sniping can be that bad. Like, okay, I mean, maybe they could see your build and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, I get that, but I don't know. I don't know, maybe it's just something I haven't experienced. Maybe I'm not skilled enough to know whether it's stream sniping or I just suck.
Oxygen production offline.
Put that there. Beautiful. Alright, now we gotta build more upgrades for this, but in the meantime, let's see. We need crystalline sulfur and kyanite. We have a couple kyanite already. We don't have any sulfur, I don't believe. With ultra low latency, it can be like 7 seconds. Oh, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah, because I guess because when I run it, well. Yeah, I wonder, because a lot of those times, those are the kind of people that they usually run it to where it's more performance based than latency based. Because if I'm not mistaken, ultra low latency is more designed for less video quality but more speed, to where low latency is better for like interacting with your chat and stuff like that than it is for game performance. And I think a lot of those people who play those kind of games would go for game performance. I don't know, I could be wrong. But it could just be a thing that I haven't experienced yet, because, you know, I'm a small-time streamer, and I don't think people would go stream sniping. I don't know. But yeah, if it is a 7 second, then I can see that that definitely does give you an advantage to know everything about where they are within 7 seconds. Needs a better internet connection for ultra low. Okay. Yeah, it shows how technologically inept I It shows how technologically inept I am, because I really have no idea. I don't even remember what mine's set to. I just remember I set it to be where it's not so focused on performance, more on speed. And even then, mine's pretty slow. All right, so we got. All right, let's head back. How many do we have? We have enough, but I should grab a couple more. Since I'm here and there's really no rush to go back. Yeah, I'm gonna go for 1080p resolution to get the advantage of the 0.001 second. Damn. And it is funny. It's interesting how people will do whatever they can just to get like a microsecond of an advantage. And I guess I just don't take it serious enough to really care. So I'm just like, whatever. As long as my people can see me and we can interact and talk, I'm happy with that. But even though when I play competitive games, I'm not a sweat lord, I'm not one of those that has to win every round and needs to be the best. I'm like, oh, whatever, I'm just having fun. All right, we got some kyanite crystal here. You lost my live stream. Hey, man, there's no need to apologize, my brother. Like I said, we're just here having a good time. We're just here enjoying ourselves, playing some Subnautica, talking, having good friendly conversations. Honestly, man, the fact that you clicked on me at all is a blessing, and I'm grateful. Never a need to apologize for losing, especially for losing, I was like, it's not even like you walked away, you just kind of lost the signal, But either way, I'm glad you're here. I'm always glad to have my people here. People hanging out and watching, having a good time, hopefully. I don't think I've ever seen those things before. What? Ugly motherfuckers. You are one ugly motherfucker. You blind? Go away. Go away. I will drill you. You see, I try to be nice. Grab it, grab it, grab it, grab it. Where is that sulfur? Alright, so you lied to me. There's no sulfur there. I'm just gonna go. Alright, and yeah, let's start heading back. We're gonna head back to the Who's It face. That means we gotta go this way. We actually started heading deeper towards the volcano. Oh my god! I'm at 22 health on Ponderosa. What the hell? Had that thing did some serious damage. I didn't even see any sparks or anything. What the hell? I thought I was good. Jiminy criminy. Well, someone was looking out for me. I am much slow on English. Sorry. No need to apologize, my brother. There is never a need to apologize. No, why does that fish have boobs on its face? What are you? Will you give me that? There we go.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
A lava larva. I mean, you want to come for the ride, bud? What are you doing? Are you sucking my energy or what? That's alright, we can hitch a ride. Yikes damage. Yeah, I know, I almost lost Ponderosa there, and then I never would have been able to get back, actually. Actually, I don't know if I would be able to get back. I don't know if I'd have enough oxygen to make it back. I would have to live at this base for the rest of my life. Down here in the sulfur caves. I don't know what I would do, actually. That's wild. Is it the last base you were in, or the base that's closest to you that you spawn in? That's a good question. Alright, let's just... How did I miss? That was right there! Alright, let's hang on to this. Rebuild our fuel. Rebuild our jump juice. Oh no, our friend left. Alright, well I guess he got tired of hanging out. He got tired of cleaning my windows. Emergency power only. That's alright. We don't need much more than that at the moment. I completely forgot what we needed for this next step. Yeah. Ooh. I do remember the sulfur. I needed 4 of them at least, and then the kyanite crystal, at least 4, which I got both of those.
Intake recommended.
I also have some more at the base, the main base. Alright, let me get out and catch a couple of these fish. I feel like it's the last one you were in, but I can't recall. Yeah, I'm not sure. Hopefully we don't have to find out. Yeah, just give me that, and you. Hello, I need calorie intake. Oh, I can't eat the lava larva. Yeah, because if it was the last one that you were in, and I ended up losing Ponderosa down here, I wouldn't have enough oxygen to make it back, even with the upgraded oxygen tank. I highly doubt I could even make it back to this one, to the jelly ray. I mean, I might be able to, actually. 700 meters. I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe something for future Mr. Marauder to test. Time as it has been almost 2 hours, 117 minutes according to YouTube. Seemed about right. I have to step away here for a few minutes just to kind of stretch, grab more coffee, so we're gonna have to take a good break anyway. Not here. I gotta make sure I make it back to another base, or at least Clyde, somewhere a little safer. Such a pretty tree. I love it. Ooh, never noticed the core inside. Huh. I'll have to explore that a little further when we come back. You found my live stream from your TV? Okay, well that's awesome, man. That's great. You know, it's great that my channel's still being pushed out there. It's interesting how that works, right? Like every once in a while, just kind of get someone random who's like, oh yeah, I just kind of happened across this and I saw it. And I love that, especially when it's people from different countries. You know, I do feel bad when the language barrier makes it a little more difficult for communication, but I always appreciate it. Like I said, especially someone from another country, because I don't know why. It's like, I guess that connectivity, that connection that we have access to these days. You know I've talked about it pretty regularly in my stream, but it's wild how many people we can reach these days. And just by, I mean, all I'm doing is playing a video game, right? You so much good. Hey, well, I appreciate you, my brother. Greatly appreciate you. That's very kind words. Very kind words, especially coming from someone who doesn't speak the language. That's huge. No, sir, there's no need to apologize ever. I can actually be pretty hard to offend. I don't know, I have a hard time saying that, right? Because I do get easily offended at certain things. But there's a lot of things I don't get offended by. Right? So, like, I like to say that I don't get offended easily, But if you get me on the right topic, whoo, buddy, it gets rough. Is that a baby Leviathan? Is that what you are? He's really cool looking, actually. I never noticed how it's like he's got that translucent outer skin, and then he's got this like inner shell that covers his internal organs.
Starvation imminent.
It's really cool.
Calorie intake immediately.
Yeah, thank you, Jasmine. I'm on it. We're almost there. We're up at Clyde. We're gonna go up to that base and cook up some stuff. That is a horrifying sound. Good lord. You need to stop that right now. There's no reason. There's no reason to be making that kind of noise. You hear me, you baby ghost Leviathan or whatever you are? I feel like that's what it is. It looks like a tiny little ghost Leviathan minus the tendrils. That's a nickel ore! You do so much good on your live stream. Hey, thank you. You know, honestly, kind of comes natural. I was very surprised when I first started streaming, just kind of how natural it felt to me, being behind the camera and just doing this. And it's funny, right? Because people see me gaming and they're like, oh yeah, you know, he's got this big boisterous personality, he talks a lot, you know, he laughs a lot and stuff like that. But you see me in the real world, not really a whole lot like that. And it's weird because people are like, oh, so it's a fake personality. And it's like, it's not fake. I'm not faking this. When I'm doing this is legitimately what's coming out, just who I am. I'm just not like this in other aspects of my life, like in person, at work, when I'm at parties. I'm much more reserved, much more quiet. I observe a lot. And maybe that's it too. Maybe because like when I'm here, I'm not really observing. I'm a participant. I'm playing. I'm doing stuff. When I'm out in public with other people, I'm definitely an observer. I kind of sit back a lot more. That's why there's been a couple times where I've had like fans that I came across, especially younger ones who are like, oh, I want to, you know, play with them and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if you want to do all that because not quite as entertaining when I'm not streaming. And especially because, you know, I'm human. I have my bad days. I have my days where I'm like, I don't feel like being boisterous and laughing. And then people see that and they're like, oh yeah, it was a fake. This is, you really put on a show. And I'm like, I don't know. If that's how you see it, I ain't gonna convince you otherwise. I just do whatever I can to be authentically me at all times. And what's funny is sometimes, ooh, that hurt. Sometimes it feels like they clash, right? Like who I am. Because like I said, who I am when I'm streaming, much different than who I am in person.
Warning, emergency power only.
Thank you, Bethany.
Oxygen production offline.
We're taking care of it, Bethany. I got you. I gotta run. Catch you later. All right, Bender, you be easy. Thank you so much for stopping by. We will catch you on the next one. I'll be here probably not too much longer myself. I don't think I'm gonna hit the full 3 hour. Well, maybe close. We'll see. We'll see. I am definitely gonna get, I'm gonna get at least the top part of this rocket built. I don't know if there's gonna be another piece after that, but either way, we're gonna at least get this piece built. All right. From here, where's Ponderosa? Oh, there he is. From here, I'm just gonna go on foot. I think I can make it. 700 meters. It's gonna be a tight one. But you know what, fellas? We like it tight. Raunchy, but I don't care. I do. It's true. Raunchy, but true. Alright, let me see here. I think we're going to get some marshmallow. And I'm going to run and take a break. I can refill my coffee, grab some water, stretch out a little bit. I'm realizing, man, as I'm getting older, sitting in one spot playing games or really doing anything is just not good for me, man. It doesn't feel good on my body. Sorry, I cannot understand your language. I know, I understand, man. And that is perfectly fine. We appreciate you being here either way. If you give me 1 second, I can translate that for you in Portuguese. Alright. It's weird to me how the music cuts out when you pause the game. Let's see, how do we do this? Translate. English to Portuguese. Oh, come on. You know, it's funny. I can understand, like I did the translation and I can understand some of what's being said because it's similar to Spanish, right? Here we go, here we go. Paste that. Boom. Ando frases. Oh yeah, so it sounds like he's saying he's using Google to translate, which makes it really slow. I get that. Hang on 1 second. We're gonna do this Portuguese to English, and then type in what he just said. I'm just picking random phrases from Google. I'm sorry. It's all good, my brother. It's all good. We're good, you and me. I'm just happy you're here. Estamos feliz por você estar aquí. I hope I said that right. I used whatever little bit of Spanish that I have to throw into Portuguese. Let me get some music going. The thing is, I'm Brazilian, so I'm not used to speaking English. Oh yeah, I understand. Yo entiendo. Thank you. Of course, my brother. Let's go ahead, play some music here. I'm gonna step away maybe like 5 or so minutes. There we go.
Drifting down so slow.
That BRB screen. All right, y'all, I'll be right back. Enjoy some music, go stand up, go stretch, drink some water, pet your dog, pet your cat, tell your family you love them. Send a nice text of appreciation to a friend or a loved one. I will see you in a few minutes.
World unknown, no fear, no fear. Breathe in light, exhale the blue. The ocean whispers, it knows me too. twist me, but I never fall. My faith is armor, my will stands tall. Through the storm, through the fray, Damasia's light guides my way. Wounds like rivers carved in stone. Still I rise, never alone. On the coast, I will not yield. Duty burns my sword, my shield. Through the fire, I remain. Through the power in my veins, Damasian steel. I am the enemies tremble when they see my stride. I've taken scars that would bury their pride. Their shadows flee, their courage wanes, yet my spirit surges unchained. Stand and fight, no retreat. Faith will heal what blades repeat. On a coast, I will not yield. Duty burns my straw, my shield. Through the fire, I remain. Running power in my veins, Damasian steel. I am the shadows rise, the sky turns black. Footsteps echo, no way back. Whispers in the air, hearts are racing, don't look down. Broken streets, a hollow town. Can we make it through? Hold on tight, me and
Alright, everybody, I am back. Thank you for being patient. This game is amazing. This game is amazing. I love this game. It's one of my... Subnautica is one of my favorites. You play too much very good music. You play very good music. Well, I appreciate that. All of this, the music that I'm playing was made through a site called Suno. I don't know what restrictions that you guys have in other countries, but here is the link to the site. Suno is a music creator. It's an AI music generator, and I've just used it because I got tired of the copyright stuff, and I'm not trying to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars just to have music on a stream. You know, I can't afford that. So this was a good option, Suno. And thank you. Yeah, the music that comes out is very good. Let's go ahead and shut that down. Doop, boop. Back to game. You know what? Let me save it. I completely forgot to save it.
Captain.
And I completely forgot to set my timer. Ugh, God. We've gotten so spoiled with autosave. We've gotten so spoiled. In more modern gaming days. Okay, let me see. I need to build a grow bed. Can I fit? I can't fit a grow bed in here, can I? Oh, I can. Can I build it? We only need titanium. I can do it. Okay. So the reason why I wanted to do this was because I was tired of going back and forth. You know, even though I set up this network of scanner rooms and bases, what I've realized is the main base, which is... Where you at? Where you at? That one over here. The creeper vine. It's like on the edge. It's on the outskirt of my whole system. My whole connected system. My network. So since it's on the edge of my network, I have to do a lot of traveling to, you know, go back and forth. Mostly for the food and water. That's like where I have most of my stuff. A lot of the food and water is there, so when I get hungry or thirsty, I gotta go all the way back. So now I'm like, you know what? Let's just build one right here. I might even do another multi-purpose room and build a water filtration. Just so we could have that one right here at Anthill. It would save us about 1,000 meters of travel. If I was even going the right way. Going the right way would definitely save some time as well. Welcome back, says the Pie. Thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate you. Did you know that Subnautica has already been released for mobile phones? I didn't know that. Mobile Subnautica. Interesting. You know, I know mobile games are getting more advanced. They went through a really rough time when they were doing the Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, you know, all that stuff, where it was like a lot of the same type of games, essentially. Those just mobile games, right? The whole cash grabby. You can only play for a couple hours before you run out of crystals unless you want to pay us more money type games. I think mobile games got way too into that. But I have been seeing lately, and actually there's a guy who plays, is it Tarkov? I can't remember what game it is, but it is a extraction shooter. And he plays it mobile. His whole channel is that one game played on a mobile, I believe it's an iPad. And he got these special gloves that, like, you know, to pick up the sensor and stuff like that. It's actually pretty impressive. And I see people play Fortnite, Minecraft, you know, mobile. Ark Survival's on mobile, I believe. Is it? I know it's on Switch. But anywho, it's good to know that mobile games are starting to get more advanced. I'm glad, you know, because I was like, the last time that I bought, well, the last time I bought a mobile game was actually Slay the Spire.
Welcome aboard.
Paid $10 for it, best $10 I ever spent. I was like, the mobile game is exactly like it is on console. It's not a lick different. I also got Final Fantasy Tactics, but I found it really irritating to play on mobile. Mostly because, like, you know, rotating the camera and trying to get to like the right squares and stuff was actually just not complicated. It was finicky. It was very finicky. It was released on July 8th of last year, if I'm not mistaken. That's really cool. Huh. Let me see. Hang on. I'm gonna look that up real quick. Subnautica Mobile. Underwater adventure game set. Yeah. Yeah, it's on the Apple Store. $10. Okay. Yeah, I'm not seeing a release date. There is a video from November 2025, last year, a couple months ago. Release date. Let me see. Oh, okay, yeah. Nope, you're absolutely right. July 8th, 2025. So last year. Yep. Interesting. I had no idea. That's cool. I wonder if it plays the same. I mean, likely, a lot of the times, they do play at least very similarly, if not the same. Pi says, I think the big limiter for a while was the power consumption versus battery life due to how much games need. I can see that. I can 100% see that. Because, like, you know, that's not my complaint. My complaint wasn't that the games weren't good enough. My complaints were that it was, scammy. Kind of scummy, right? Where it's like, hey, you could play this game and like we'll do all this stuff, we'll give you these things, we'll get you addicted, and then all of a sudden you hit a certain point once you start getting really involved, and it's like, oh, well, you want to play more than like, you know, just these couple things, then you're gonna have to like pay more money, you know? You're gonna have to get yourself more energy crystals so you can do more. Don't you want to do more? Don't you want to defend your base from those online attackers, huh? Go buy 25 gems. We'll give you a deal. We'll take 5% off if you buy 50 of them today. That's my complaint about mobile games. At least the ones that get really pushed, the ones that don't get pushed, the ones that I really like, the Subnauticas, the Ark Survivals, Slay the Spire, stuff like that, those don't get advertised. I had no idea that Slay the Spire was on mobile until One Day at a Time told me. Alright, so I forgot the crystals inside of, oh, that's right, the ion battery. I don't even know where to find the ion battery. Like, honestly, I don't remember ever needing the ion battery. You could visit Brazil someday. They have a lot of delicious food, like pão de queijo, cheese bread. Oh yeah, yeah. And you'll love it. Yeah, I've thought about it. I heard Brazil's a beautiful state. I know the people there are beautiful. The culture. It's on the bucket list. I'd definitely visit Brazil. I would not be opposed. I have a lot of places that I want to visit, though. Alright, so we need to figure out this ion battery thing. I have no idea. Zero idea. None. Where it could be. So we're just gonna drop these all here. We do have the blue crystals that we need, and then we have more in Ponderosa right now. Again, our one limitation is not knowing... I think I need to keep this copper on me. You know, we'll put it up for now. We're here. Why not? Let's not think too hard about this. I have a whole thing of copper over here. Not quite full. This game only needs multiplayer to be perfect. You know, a lot of people agree. A lot of people agree. I agree. I was like, honestly, even if it was just co-op, just 2 players, I would be happy with that. I think, and actually, I think 2 players would be the perfect amount for the size of the game. Because I think any more than that would be kind of cluttered. I think the map isn't nearly big. It seems like it's big. The map seems big. It's actually really compact, though. Made it back, still live and still alive. Yes, sir. Got about another 20 or so minutes. And right now, I'm just kind of shooting the shit. Because I'm really stuck. I'm like, I need ion batteries to advance. And I have no idea where that's at. I don't know where to find it. So I'm going to have to go on some kind of an excursion to figure that out. But we all know that that you start going deeper, you're going to have to go deeper to find these things. But then to do that, you have to use the Cyclops or the Prawn, which those are a lot slower than the sea moth, believe it or not. What name are you going to give your rocket? Ooh, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I haven't thought about it. Found a good translate. Nice. Yeah, he did. He's been very active in the stream today, and I appreciate that. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're just going to go back and set up these plants and the other base. Like I said, I have both bulbo tree and Chinese potatoes. So we're going to take those to Anthill. Yeah, that one. I may go down to Deep Shroom, actually. Yeah, I may take it down to Deep Shroom. And you know, and I may look up where to find the ion battery stuff, because I'll be honest, I didn't want to look up anything, and I haven't to this point. But I'm getting a little over it. You know, I was like, I have a scanner range like just about everywhere that I could think to go, and I'm like, I have no idea what area these are gonna be, so I may just look it up. I may just cheat and say F it. You know, we've been at this for 30 hours already, and I'm ready to move on to the next one. Get Subnautica below zero out of the way. Although I'll be very honest, I don't know how excited, how much I'm looking forward to below zero. You know, I love Subnautica. I heard a lot of good things. I heard a lot of good things about Subnautica. I haven't heard much about Below Zero. And the little bit that I do know
Calorie intake
already kind of annoys me. Alright, decompose. Jesus, they're already decomposing?
Vital signs stabilizing.
Bulbo tree, Chinese. Okay. Alright, let's just get in here and plant this thing. I was gonna move it, but let's just plant it now since it's already... Translate this.
Aboard, Captain.
En gusto de suavas lives.
Calorie.
I will have to do that in a second. Let me take care of this first. Bam, bam, and bam. All right. Let's do this translate. Why not? Sawa. Oh, okay. Sawa is a string. So it's interesting because I know some Spanish. I did understand some of that. Like I knew gustas. I figured it meant I like, because gusto is in Spanish. Das, I figured it's similar to su, so it's you. Suas lives or lives. I don't know how to pronounce that. But Suas is streams, Lives is lives. Okay. I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you so much. You are too kind. Let's save again because I forgot to set my timer, so we're just gonna save randomly. Bender says, I started Below Zero on Xbox for free. Didn't seem bad to me at all, but I didn't play more than an hour. I got you. And I'm not saying it's gonna be bad. In fact, I doubt it's going to be bad, knowing the company that it comes from and the game that they did make. That's not always the telltale sign. That's not always the, yeah, it's definitely going to be good. But I figured it wouldn't be bad. But I was like I said, the little bit that I did play, I was already pretty annoyed by her voice. And I was like, yeah, this is going to be one of those things. But, you know, we'll see. I'm going to go in it with an open mind, open heart. I'll play the game. Hell, I'll even beat the game. And we'll go from there. This is easy. I like your live streams. Congratulations, you've practiced other... Thank you, my friend. I have practiced other language. Thanks to you. You've practiced other languages. I'm going to have to do that more, actually. Maybe I should do that for 2026. Really focus on working on the Spanish. I did hire a tutor one time online, but you know, like, I want to do a lot of things. It's kind of the problem, is that I want to do a lot of things, and a lot of things cost a lot of money. And there's also a lot of things, like, you know, my buddy said I have
Stabilizing.
what's known, or what he calls flight of fancy. Meaning, you know, I like a lot of different things, and what my interests are changes a lot. And I don't necessarily consider it a bad thing. I'm into a lot of things. But if it's not reeled in, then yeah, it can end up being not the most healthy. All right, let's go back to the main base. We're going to leave Marshmallow there. We'll go back to... Where are you? Where are you? There's Reef back. There we go. Whew. Yeah, learning a new language, man, it's very hard. It's a very difficult skill. But from what I understand, it's like people who have learned a second language pick up a third language easier. And that's why you hear about these people who are fluent in like 6, 7, 8 different languages. Because for whatever reason, once you pick up a second language, especially if you do it in your adult age, once you pick up a second language, then it kind of opens up those synapses to where your brain can understand more languages easier. It's wild how it works. People outside of South America say that it's difficult to learn our language. You know, man, people who've grown up speaking a specific language think every other language is difficult. Like, and honestly, they're right. Every language is difficult. You know, if you think about it, it's just we're making sounds, right? We're making these sounds that we were born to make, and then we put them together, right? So it's like this sound means this, that sound means this, that sound means that. And it's a whole science behind it, right? And then you come up with thousands and millions of words and phrases. So it's like, honestly, I'm mind blown that a single language got developed, let alone many hundreds of thousands of languages, and they've evolved over the years. How many like languages that aren't spoken so much anymore? So all that to be said, my friend, I'm sure Portuguese is hard. I'm sure it's as hard as any other. So it is doable. You know, it's just all about the work you want to put into it. All right, so we got about 20 more minutes. I think right now, the best thing to do would be find whatever we're low on and do some gathering. Oh, we could use some more titanium already. Titanium's a constant. Flights of fancy, either you get bored really easily or you don't get bored at all. Yeah, that's kind of exactly how it is. It's like I don't know that I get bored easy. I know I get to a point where I'm like, this isn't fulfilling me at this moment, right? It's like I've gotten a lot out of it. I've gotten what I needed out of it. And to be honest, part of that's my fault. A lot of that's my fault because I realized recently that I tend to hyperfixate on whatever it is that I'm into. So if it's a certain game, I'm playing that game and nothing but that game. I'm watching videos about that game. I'm constantly in that game. But then it gets to a point where I'm like, like, that's enough of that. You know, I think a more healthy way to do it would be to like spread it out, you know, have multiple interests and try to keep them evenly or at least somewhat balanced, right? It's true that many languages are very difficult to learn, especially Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. I know Chinese for sure. Chinese, from what I understand, is considered the most difficult language to learn because they have so many characters in their alphabet. And I don't know if it's a single Asian culture specifically or it's like most Asian cultures, most Asian countries, but like what you say means something different based on how you say it. So like the inflection, right? Like, for example, if I were to look at you and say, I love you, or I love you, you know, it sounds different and the energy coming off different, but they both mean the same thing. Whereas in a lot of Asian countries, if you were to do that, then they would mean completely different things. It's that's the part that blows my mind. All right. Oh, what were we doing? We were gonna go gather things, I guess. This last 20 minutes, we got to figure out where the ion power is. What are we short on? Well, we're short on gold. We do need gold and silver, actually. I can't understand everything perfectly, but I grasp some of what they're saying. That's good, man. And that's where it starts. You know, that's really where it starts. That's where I'm at with Spanish, is that I can kind of understand what's happening. I can get the gist of it, but I don't know it fully. All right, so let's put the scanner on to, like, sandstone. That'll give us gold and stuff. And we'll just do some scanning for sandstone. Yeah. Asian languages sometimes have totally different written language from the spoken. That plus regional dialects make them tough. That makes sense. Yeah, I know. So from what I've heard about Russian, because I understand Russian is one of the more difficult ones. Like, I hear it's right up there with Chinese as far as its complexity. And I hear that they're complex because they don't have a sentence structure, really. Like, I guess, from what I understand of the Russian language, you kind of throw words together. And there's no, like... Because, you know, most languages, there's a rhythm to it, right? There's, like, word, 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 comma, period, word, you know, that kind of stuff. Where, again, from what I'm told about Russian, I've never studied it, and I don't really know anyone who speaks it fluently, but from what I've heard is that they just have a weird cadence to their... Or maybe even no cadence. I don't know. But I'm like, that's interesting, how you can... It's the one language, I mean, at least that I know of, that works that way. If that's even true. I don't even know if that's true or not. But yeah, languages are funny, man. Languages are an interesting thing. I've always found them interesting. Go away. And you know, like the fact that, I mean, I'm sure the human species started with just like grunts and body language and screaming and cries, and I kind of wonder, man, I want to be a fly on the wall when the first human was like, we need to make these sounds mean the same thing so I know what you're talking about. Right? Like, how does that even happen? How does that happen where a group of people come together and they're like, without being able to communicate, they say, hey, this needs to be this. When I make this sound, this means this. For example, when I say I mean I. Ooh, there's a lot of stones down here. I am dying of heat exhaustion. My health's good though. My health's going down slow. You know, it's really interesting to learn other languages, especially when they're difficult to learn. I like that. Well, good, man. Keep that up. And honestly, if you learn languages and you're good at them, that's a very marketable skill. That's one of the things that'll get you hired in most places. Like, that'll put you way above most other people. If you can speak another language, especially from what I understand, Mandarin, or like, you know, Spanish, something that's real common in the States, French to a lesser extent.
30 seconds.
Okay, yep, let me go get some air. Thank you, Jasmine. I would have died. I may still die if I don't get out. Actually, you know what? Let's just go on the stream. Might not be a good idea. Actually feels pretty good. It's like a hot spring. Really fun talking to English people. It seems like the conversation becomes more interesting and mysterious. Well, good. I'm glad I could add some mystery to your life. It is. You know, it's... I was actually just thinking about this the other day. I was having a conversation about someone about traveling. I haven't done any traveling in my life. In fact, the only place I've ever gone to was in Iraq for war, so it's not exactly what most people consider traveling. And I was thinking about it. I was like, you know, I'm not really super into the idea, mostly because the stress of like traveling and being on a train, on a plane. I'm like, bleh, bleh. But you know, I'm like, man, I don't know if the experience of going somewhere else and like, you know, that kind of thing is worth the money that it costs to, you know, get everything ready and the time and the travel. Damn blow up fish. And I was like, you know, and then there's all those times of like language barriers. Like even now, man, even where I live, there's a lot of foreigners. A lot of people from a lot of different places, not even just one place in particular, but a lot of people who speak different languages, and there's a lot of times where I run into language barrier stuff. And I'm like, man, that gets so awkward. But like if you can get past that awkwardness though, and actually like figure out how to communicate, it's a really beautiful thing. And the cool thing about communication, and even with like, you know, cross cultures and cross language, is that body language and facial expressions are pretty much universal, right? Like if you got the eyes, the bright eyes, if you're smiling with your eyes, you know, smiling. People can tell that if you're frowning, you know, and like you look angry, you look intimidated, people can see that. And, you know, even if that's not what you're feeling, that's not what you're expressing, that's what people read. So if you can get past, you know, the whole language thing and you can actually figure out facial expressions and body language, you can actually communicate with someone really well, really effectively. I'm with you, not a fan of traveling, airplanes, loss of control, delays, I'll just drive. Yeah, you know, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of logistics, it's kind of stressful. I was like, honestly, I hate airports, like going through the whole security, like the whole getting into the, like, from getting to the airport, all the way to getting on the plane and getting off the airport, I can't stand that whole thing. I'm like, being on the plane, being stuck there, being stuck on the runway, I'm like, it's one of the worst things for me. It really is. So I'm like, as much as it would be cool to see other places, I'm like, how much do I want to do that, you know? Oh, we got batteries in here. That's good to know. And then the money and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know, I think for me to like want to travel, I would have to be doing something specific. Like, you know, I am planning on going to Costa Rica. And I want to go into the jungle and I want to hunt for bugs. Like, I want to look for insects while I'm out there. So if I'm doing something like that, then I'm like, yeah, that's worth it to me because I'm actually going for an activity. I'll be able to do, not that I can't do that here, but I'll be able to find things there that I won't here. And I was like, that would be the draw for me. Sunga says, I like live streams where we talk a lot with the recorder. That's fun. Yeah. And that's honestly where I've gotten my stream to be. It was like, you know, I used to want to be big. I used to want to make, you know, I guess be an influencer and all that. And then eventually I was like, I don't want that. You know, I like just chilling and hanging out with the audience. I hate to call you guys an audience because, you know, you're more like friends than an audience. And there's plenty of streams that I go to. And like, you know, another thing too is when you get so big, once you have so many followers, it becomes less personal. Right? Like you kind of have to step away. And for good reason. I mean, it's not done intentionally, but like once you start getting that couple thousand followers, you know, you get 50, 60, 70 people watching all talking at the same time. It gets more difficult to have those conversations as one-on-one. So in a way, I'm pretty grateful that my channel's still small. Of course, I would like it to grow a little bit more, you know, and get more engagement. I mean, anybody who does this does. Like, that's kind of the ultimate goal, right? Oh, I have a seed for a Ming plant. Can I plant you here?
Fluid intake.
Whatever, this is good. This is good here. Tunga says, I'm not a fan of airplanes either. I'm more of a fan of souped up... Oh, 100% I know, my brother. You and me, we are right here on that one. I love trucks. I don't have a truck right now. But definitely, you give me a big old four-wheeling, lifted, heavy kit with the big lights on top. Oh yeah, give me a winch on both sides. Happy man here. Happy man here. I will go on road trips with that all day. And yeah, and like, you know, it's not like I'm scared of flying. Flying doesn't scare me. It's just like, I don't like it. I don't like being in that tube for way longer than I feel like I have to, you know? And then like, you got to get to the airport a couple hours early to make sure you're there on time. And then you get on the plane, and then people got to load up a certain way. And then even when you land, I think the landing is the worst, right? Because you land, and then you're still on there for another 20-30 minutes while you're being taxied, and then you stop and they do the whole hookup thing, and you're still there for another 10 minutes before they let anyone stand up and get out, and then you still have to wait for people to shuffle out single file. I'm like, oh my god. And it's like, I know a lot of people, especially women, and like, you know, not trying to make this a race war or anything like that, but it's like, especially women are so into the idea of traveling and like going out there and quote unquote experiencing more and living life. And like, that's fine, you know. I was like, that's cool and all, you know, everyone has their things. But then they get judgmental about me because I don't want to do it. They're like, oh, so you must be like closed-minded and dumb and ignorant. And I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? Right? They're like, yeah, you can't be cultured unless you go out there and meet other, you know, people in different cultures and meet other people. And I'm like, no. You know, I was like, there's honestly, in the United States is so massive that you can literally spend all of your travel just in the States itself, meet all kinds of different people, different cultures here. And then not only that, but like, I'm into a lot of other things. Like, I'm really deep into philosophy, into religion, horsemanship. Horsemanship's a good, I mean, you have to be open-minded to be into horsemanship, or any of those things, really. You know, religion, philosophy, to be able to like talk or explore about any of those things, you have to be open-minded and cultured. You know, so I was like, just because I don't want to spend all my money and my free time inside of a metal tube to go somewhere, and then here's the kicker too, is that you go on these quote-unquote vacations, you travel, and the number of people that come back and they're like, oh, I need a vacation from my vacation. I'm like, fuck you.
Take immediately.
All right, let me get out of here because I'm about to die and I'm thirsting and not paying attention, running into jellyfish. No. No. I am faster than you? Ah, of course. Up. Sunga says, I like Subnautica. I find the idea of landing on a planet flooded with water interesting. It's a lot of fun. When the game was about to be released for mobile, I was desperate to play it seriously. Have you played it all? Do you have access to it? Have you been playing it? It is a really good one. You know, even though I was saying that I'm a little, I don't want to say over these survival crafting games, but a little burned out. You know, I play a lot of them. And I play a lot of them for a lot of hours. But all that to be said, it's definitely one of, if not my favorite, survival crafting game. Very rarely do I play through a game twice. Like the story, anyway. Like, you know, I play a lot of games, art, you know, other stuff like that. Where we just kind of start again. You know, you do the whole start over thing. But like story games, very rarely do I go through a story twice. I'll tell you, Subnautica, this is my second time playing Subnautica. Mass Effect is one of the few. Mass Effect, I think I've played and beat the whole series like 3 times. Which is super rare for me. Same thing with Dragon Age. Dragon Age, I beat it 3 or 4 times. But not very many other games I can say that I go back to like that. But yeah, so Subnautica, they did a really good job with Subnautica. I really appreciate it.
Vital signs.
They definitely added a lot of things that I think became staples of the survival genre. The Pie says, yeah, Mass Effect had me come back a couple times. Bro, it was such a good story. Even though the ending of the third one was really cop-out. I mean, I was with everyone else when I was like, that's the ending after all that build-up? Even with that, it's still one of my favorite games. Everything, the storytelling, the characters. I love the characters. I love the story of it. The gameplay. My favorite one by far was 2. I think my favorites went 2, 3, 1. 1 was really good, but it was really janky. It was you can tell because it was kind of the first of its kind. So they were definitely testing and like learning things, and that's an example of like trying new things, right? Even though they built off of the Knights of the Old Republic forum, they were still trying new things with the new generation. So the first one was kind of janky. It was kind of stiff. It was also like, the Xbox was still new, the Xbox 360, so they were trying to figure out what the limitations were and stuff. But yeah, ultimately, like, I can go through all 3 of them and be a happy camper again. Sunga says, it's great that Subnautica 2 is going to be focused on multiplayer. I want to play it with my friends. I did hear that. I did hear Subnautica 2 is going to be multiplayer. And that'll be cool. That'll be solid. I'm not gonna hold my breath. I'll see how it is when it comes out. I try not to, like, I'm just the kind of guy that I really don't get excited about something until I see it happening. Or until it's there. I'm not big into, like, speculation. I'm like, well, we'll see when it happens, But that would be really solid to add multiplayer into Subnautica. It needs to be done. The Pie says, I think recent times for the one I went back and finished multiple times was a modded Cyberpunk 2077. Not so much regular. Yeah, ending was meh in ME3, but I loved getting there. And ME1 was Xbox exclusive, so it was sort of highly limited. Ah, okay. Yeah, I heard good things about Cyberpunk. I know it released poorly, really poorly. But I heard that it became a really good game. Kind of like, a lot of games do these days, right? Where they're released in just super shitty conditions. But then it's one of the few, kind of like No Man's Sky, where over the years, they've added to it and changed it to where it's like, okay, it's become a good game now. Which is unfortunate that we can't just put out a good game, right? Well, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, someone was saying, I forgot who it was, but, like, they were saying basically that those kind of games were designed as a platform for you to, like, put your mods into it and then make the game your own. And I was like, yeah, I don't know about that. Any game that I have to do too much work to make it fun, I'm like, that's kind of not the game I want to play. BRB, they could add a mod pack system to mobile game. It would be cool to be able to put mods in the game. Ooh, that would be a tough one. Mods in mobile? I mean, mods are difficult to make already. I have no idea. I was like, honest, I'm not a techie guy. I don't really understand technology. But I do know that mobile is really limited. Even though it's advancing, it's catching up. It's very limited on what it can do. I think a problem with modding on mobile is the code that you have to use. I'm not sure, like I said, I don't know much about it, but it's like the coding language can be difficult because, well, what is it? Because like you have so much less room, you have so much less to work with. You have to find ways to make the code smaller and more efficient if you want to keep the same game. Really fascinating, but I can say that kind of stuff is well out of my wheelhouse. I have never programmed a single thing in my life. I don't even understand how it works, to be honest. Like, I know people can go into the game and like open up the folders and read it and be able to figure out how it's designed and what system it uses and what happens when you do this, what happens when you do that. I'm like, I don't know. That's well over my pay grade. But mods are cool. Jesus, you chased me forever. Oh, damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. You lost some belongings. Alright. Yeah, usually when that happens, it's like some of the ore that you're carrying. I find it funny that, because, you know, I've been playing Raft a little bit. I find it funny that Subnautica, a game where you're underwater, living with these eldritch horror creatures that want to devour you, is far more forgiving than Raft is. Raft is one of the most unforgiving games I've played. It's right up there with Ark Survival. Maybe not quite as difficult as Ark Survival, but it's up there. It's pretty unforgiving, at least in the beginning. So I'm like, to be playing a game like this where you're stuck on an alien planet living with Lovecraftian horrors. Horrors, not horrors. Although a Lovecraftian horror might be interesting. Anyway, a game where you're living in a world with these giant leviathans is more forgiving. And it's just stuff like, you know, the food and water. It lasts so much longer in Subnautica. Even though there's times where I feel like I'm doing it all the time, drinking a bottle of water, getting a thing of food, lasts a good minute. In Raft, I feel like I'm drinking every like 3 minutes. And then not only that, but I have to like 4 or 5 cups to get full to like full that bar. Same thing with the food. You gotta eat like 10 potatoes to satiate yourself. And then you got sniper artillery birds that hate you. And then when you die, you lose 2/3 of everything you had randomly. And it includes the tools, not just the resources, the tools, the furniture, whatever you had on you. All of that goes. In Subnautica, I noticed I was really nervous about dying at first, but then I noticed that when you die, you keep all of your tools. You just lose some of the resources you picked up, and I was like, that's really bad. Artillery birds and Raft, yeah, the one that drops the rocks on your head. Basically what they are. I guess maybe bomber bird would be better, but I was just thinking the indirect fire thing. Yeah, Patricia, that bitch. She does not like you. She has it out for you. I don't know why. I'm like, man, I'm just trying to like, I mean, maybe because you're chopping down trees and that's where she puts her home or something. I don't know. But she is angry.
30 seconds.
Fair point. Yeah, I said artillery because I was just thinking indirect fire coming from the sky, and I was a mortarman, you know, so I worked with not quite artillery, but it was an artillery-like system. 81mm mortars. Indirect fire. Really cool, actually. I really dug it. Really cool system. And it basically had the same effect. If they didn't like you, they would drop it on your head. No matter what kind of cover you had above you, it didn't matter. You were done for. So I guess back in my day, I was Patricia. Oh, I think I need to end this. I think we've been at this too long. I'm getting a little slap happy. I'm getting a little slap happy. But yeah, this is a good ending point here. Actually, let me save it real quick. I am going to save it one more time before I quit, but just in case I'm a dum-dum and I forget, we're going to save it now. And I will have to remember to put on my boxing timer next time. You see what happens when you play a game once a week and you skip a week? Oh, Jesus. I started this. I was like, I don't even know what I did the last time I was on. But we figure it out pretty fast. This next time is going to be about figuring out the ion power source thing. Like where to even figure out how to find that blueprint, the data bank or what. Because as far as I understand, the only place that I've been... Oh, this isn't even where I was trying. This ain't the main base. What the hell am I doing? Oh, 81's nice. A friend of mine from high school did mortars, but I think he got stuck with the bigger guys, hundreds or something. The truck or trailer mounted guys. Yeah, so I believe the Army has 120 millimeter as well, which are huge. Yeah, I worked with 81 millimeters, which isn't always vehicle mounted, but mine was. I was actually in an LAV, so I was in an armored unit. So it was really cool. We were shooting mortars out of the back of the LAVs. But yeah, if I remember right, they had 120s, which the Marines didn't have. I was a Marine. The Armies have the 120. Marines have 81 millimeter, and then they also have the 60 millimeter, which are tiny and one-man operated. It's interesting because the three... what was it, the 81 millimeter? You need a crew of 3 people to run it. I would assume it's similar with the 120, even though it's larger. I don't see why you would need a 4th person. That would probably just start getting in the way. But yeah, the 60 millimeter was mostly just a 1, maybe 2 person, because it was tiny, it was kind of personal held. And actually, they used it... I never used it this way, but they were saying, they were like, yeah, if you're in a fight and like you're advancing and you have a 60 millimeter mortar, you just like drop it, angle it a little bit, drop around, pick it back up, run forward and keep doing that, almost like a advancing suppressive fire with a mortar, which I was like kind of honestly mind blown by that. I was like, that's a wild idea.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
But yeah, as much as I wasn't a fan of being in the military, just because I'm not cut out for that lifestyle, what I did in the Marines was actually really cool. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed learning what I did. Working on that gun crew was an experience that you'll never get anywhere. I mean, civilians will just never get that experience. Most ridiculous mortar I ever saw was a knee mortar, not mounted on the knee, but had an aiming thing you did with your leg/knee, IRC, like a 40 millimeter or something from World War II. Interesting. Huh. I haven't heard of that one, but funny story. There was a guy that I went to SOY school with, which SOY is it means School of Infantry. So it's where you go after boot camp. If you're going into the infantry, it's where you go to learn how to be an infantryman. But I was in there with him. He was obviously in the same mortar class as I was, and he decided, you know, because Marines being young dumb dudes full of cum, decided that he was going to shoot a 60 millimeter off of his knee. And so what he did was he took a flak jacket and put it on his leg, on his thigh, and like folded it over, put the mortar and the plate on top of that, and then held it there and then shot it from his leg. And it didn't break. It didn't break his leg, but it left a massive bruise that took forever to go away. And I was like, that is one of the dumbest things. Oh, he got so much trouble for that. But I was like, bro, the thing, and Marines are just dumb. Like, dudes are dumb. Dudes are dumb. But I was like, I couldn't believe that shit. And I was like, I mean, it's funny. I'll watch. But there's no way you're going to find me putting any kind of an explosive on my leg and trying to launch it from there. I was like, oh, who the hell even thinks of that? But I'm going to have to look up that knee. What was it? The knee mortar. I'm going to have to look that up. I do know in like World War II, they They were experimenting with some funky stuff in the World Wars. Like that was I think that was the first, definitely the last time that they used flamethrowers. You know, I'm sure it was a Geneva Convention thing. It's probably considered cruel and unusual. It's also extremely dangerous for the wielder. The Pi says, yeah, a lot of guys just do the dumbest crap when they're not super... Hey, but you know what? That's natural selection, right? That's Darwinism at its finest. It's, you know... Let them weed out themselves. All right, everybody. That's going to be it for me today. I'm going to take off. Thank you so much for stopping by. It was great meeting you, Sunga. And the Pi Bender, thank y'all so much for stopping by. Everyone else who was here, if I forgot to mention your name, I apologize. Actually, I'm gonna do a prayer before we take off. So, if you feel like it, bow your head, close your eyes. If not, just sit there and take it in. All right, you know, to our Creator, man, we appreciate that you allow us to be here. I'm grateful for my friends here that I've met online and the guys who like to hang out and chat and have some really deep conversations. You know, in a different way, this is iron sharpening iron, right? We're all sharing our opinions. Maybe we even come up with a different opinion or a way to live a better life, more masculine, loving life, by bouncing off of each other and hearing about each other's experiences and thoughts. And we're grateful that we can connect with people from not only all over the States, but all over the world, which is an amazing thing to be a part of. And I just pray that you stick with us, you reach out and you help all of us with the discretion that we need to get through our lives and make the right choices. And in your name we ask this, amen. All right, everybody, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm going to take off. Let's go ahead and get that all set up. Planning for next Sunday, more Subnautica. Boom, boom. I will be here, hopefully. Lord willing. And hopefully y'all will be here too. Have a blessed one, y'all. I'll see you on the next one.